Go. So now the stream is up at Facebook.com/ESPN Upstate, Twitter.com/ESPN Upstate, or on YouTube by searching The Rob Brown Show. The stream is live. Sorry. My bad. I've told you how many times. I'm an idiot. What do you want? I remember one of the lunch breakdown. We have two big soccer stories. In fact, one of them, we had a texter text in before we even came on the air that said ESPN Roberto CR7 headed back to the EPL. And it looks like the answer to that is probably. The word is coming out right this second, ladies and gentlemen, that Manchester City may be just minutes away from bringing Cristiano Ronaldo to the Premier League. Man City and Ronaldo are close to reaching an agreement over a huge move for the man out of Portugal. Sources told ESPN that City boss Pep and Ronaldo spoke on the phone Thursday morning ahead of his possible departure from Juventus and move over to Man City. Obstacles would still have to be overcome before the transfer is done, particularly the enormous transfer fee that will be demanded for your CR7. But there is cautious optimism. A deal will be reached. Juventus would want around $28 million before allowing Ronaldo to leave, but there is such a keenness to get the 36-year-old off the wage bill that there may be some room for negotiations in there. ESPN reported back in June that Ronaldo's representatives were gauging interest from the top clubs around Europe amidst the possibility he could move this summer, and it looks like Man City, still holding on to their latest trophy, could be the team that he lands on. City were initially approached by Ronaldo's camp while they were originally cool on the idea, but their interest increased following confirmation on Wednesday that Harry Kane, yes, that Harry Kane, who had himself a whale of a Euros this year, has decided to stay at Tottenham Hotspur in this particular transfer window. Guardiola wants a striker to replace Sergio Aguero, and Kane was the top target for the club before the UK captain pledged his immediate future back to the Spurs. CR7 was still out there. Nobody had made the moves necessary to sign Ronaldo to a contract, and it looks like Man City has jumped into that role. Sources telling ESPN that City and Juventus are yet to open talks about a deal, and it is likely a compromise would have to be reached over the asking fee. Ronaldo recently hit out on Instagram saying that transfer talk was disrespectful, but he did so on the same day that he entered the match as a second-half substitute as Juventus began their season with a 2-2 draw on Sunday. He withdrew from training on Wednesday with what sources said was an arm injury, though there are others saying that he was just frustrated and wanted out. 101 goals in 134 appearances for Juventus since arriving from Real Madrid. Back in 2018, he is a five-time Ballon d'Or winner. Also spent 6 years at City's Manchester rivals United between 03 and 09, winning the Champions League and 3 Premier titles. Also in soccer, sticking with item number 1, we have started to get the 26-player roster for the U.S. men's national team ahead of 3 World Cup qualifiers. And as expected and excitedly, the young men will get the chance. Chelsea's Christian Pulisic, Borussia Dortmund's Giovanni Reina, Juventus Weston McKennie will headline the 26-player roster. Pulisic had been a doubt to be called up. Why? He has COVID-19, but he has recovered sufficiently to be on the roster that will contest World Cup qualifiers at El Salvador on September 2nd, back at home against Canada in Nashville 3 days later, and then away at Honduras on September 8th. The game day rosters remain at 23 players, but the fact that the window contains 3 games compelled U.S. manager Greg Berhalter to bring in additional reinforcements. Players will begin reporting to camp in Nashville starting on this Sunday. In terms of qualifying, not a lot of experience on this group, just 6 of those having been called previously played in a qualifier, but the current crop of players have all been excelling at club level and at club levels at the top 10 players are on clubs that qualified for the 2021-22 Champions League group stage. Brendan Aronson, Tyler Adams, John Brooks, Serginho Dest, McKinney, Jordan Pulisic, Reyna, Zach Steffen, and Timothy Weah, all on teams that made the Champions League group stage. One notable call-up, very interesting, Ricardo Pepi from FC Dallas, a dual national who can still represent Mexico. Pepi's emergence this season, 9 goals for Dallas, gives the U.S. team a little bit of depth at a position that Greg Berhalter said he has had difficulty filling recently. And on the same day that it was announced he was being called up, Ricardo Pepi last night scored the game-winning penalty kick in the MLS All-Star game yesterday evening, there was little in the way of surprises. There were some injuries that had to be taken into consideration. Gyasi Zardes injured, Orlando City forward Daryl DK injured, Valencia midfielder Yunus Musa all injured as well. Those guys are not on there is a chance they could be added later, but that's what we know. By the way, having himself a freaking summer this year, Matt Turner, the goalkeeper, in the box last night for the MLS All-Stars at the end of the game, blocked a couple of enormous PKs in the PK shootout and helped to win that game for the MLS All-Stars. Matt Turner has been called up to the qualifying roster behind Ethan Horvath. That is big news. We'll talk more soccer later in the week as we head towards the qualifiers next weekend. Item number 2 on the lunch breakdown. We talked a little bit about it yesterday. The news continues to break. We've got quarterback news all over the National Football League. Clip 1A, if you don't mind here. Lonzo Urban Meyer, ladies and gentlemen, starting off an absolute flood of NFL quarterback news last night when he named Trevor Lawrence your starting quarterback for your Jacksonville Jaguars.
It's a 3-week preseason as opposed to a 4. We do have a bye week afterwards, but I think as we continue, it's a matter of a little bit of repetition now. So we wanted him to earn it, as we do with every position. We felt he has after the last night's performance was it was good. Obviously not great, but we didn't run the ball very well. But I kind of in my mind had that as after the second preseason that we kind of have to get someone ready to play in 3 weeks.
That is Urban Meyer naming Trevor Lawrence your starting quarterback. Clip 1B is the response from Trevor Lawrence after learning that he would be the starter in week 1.
Yeah, it was good, man. We talked about our QB room, and man, we have a great group. So I'm really excited for the opportunity. It doesn't really change anything, though. Still got the same task in front of us. Got to get a lot better individually as a team, as an offense. So just looking forward to going to work this week. It brings some clarity, which is nice going forward, but it really doesn't change much. But, yeah, I'm really excited for the opportunity, grateful for it. There's always people saying different things, for you, not for it's always, you just block all that out. I know the situation I'm in and these coaches and these players, like we're all here to win. We're doing everything we can to win, to prepare, to play our best, and that's really all that matters. And to your point, I mean, I just try to block all that stuff out. Like all I can do is be the best I can be and just keep doing that every day.
He talks like a QB1, doesn't he, Lonzo? I don't think there's any doubt that Trevor Lawrence knows how to handle the media. The question is, can he handle the QB1 spot? And we just learned we got to find out.
He needs to learn how to answer the question. So looks like he's struggling out there today. What can you do to improve? Because that's going to happen, and it's not really a question he's had to answer too many times, at least not in his collegiate career. And I'm not saying it's going to be his fault, but they were the worst team in the league for a reason.
Can I tell you the question that I've heard asked about Trevor Lawrence many times, and at first it really aggravated the crap out of me, but the more it gets asked, the more I realize it's actually a legitimate question. Trevor, you have literally never lost as a quarterback. How is it going to be going through your first year when your team sucks and you lose a lot? Like, really, I know it sounds sarcastic.
Here's how it should be worded. The last college game you played, did it prepare you for the losing that you're going to do in the NFL? I think that's a better question. And I asked that question not wearing an Ohio State jersey right now.
Yeah, definitely not. Definitely not. Again, I don't think, I really genuinely don't think that it's all that unfair of a question to ask at this point, right? Like, you've never lost. You've never had to stare down losing in the face. How are you prepared, and how's it going to impact you if you do? I want to come back to that later on in the show, because I've heard a lot of people tell me, stop asking that about Trevor. I think it's a fair question to ask. Having the right mentality, the ability to get knocked down, dust yourself off, get back up, kind of mucho importante for an NFL QB1.
Which is why you almost kind of want to lose some when you're younger to learn how to deal with it.
Yeah, we talked about that the other day, didn't we? We talked about the other day. Start the kids off by telling them the importance of being the best they can be. Then we'll learn how to lose, unless they're Trevor. He hasn't. So I wonder how playing in the league will impact that. And finally, item number 3 on the lunch breakdown. Though, if you don't mind playing clip number 7 for me, it's a mystery clip. Ladies and gentlemen, join the stream, because I need to see Lonzo's face when he hears this clip that happened yesterday.
And if I'm going to answer those questions to myself, can you still go? Can you still be the best? Can you still be the best in the world? That's somebody else's shtick, and you might just need to be a little bit more patient, okay?
Ladies and gentlemen, it's officially happened. AEW is the wrestling company. If that guy whose shtick that is going to show up, which I suspect he will, in, 90-ish days.
Well, I also saw a picture, and I don't know how accurate it is, that CM Punk had some letters written on each shoe. And I'm guessing you haven't seen that.
I have not seen what you're talking
about. One of them would be BW, and the other one would be AC. Now, it could have been, it's one of those things that popped up suggested for you.
Sure.
And it could have been, fake. I don't know.
BW. And what was the other one?
AC.
Okay, AC, baby.
Yes.
I'm assuming.
Yes.
BW. Hang on. Bray. Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
It's one of those things that popped up on my feed. I don't know why a bunch of wrestling thing pops up on my feed. I don't understand why.
Algorithms are weird, right?
Yeah. So, but I saw that earlier and was like, I don't know how accurate that is, but it could be.
If BD shows up, I think it's pretty much over, right? I think it's pretty much over.
It's not over until you man.
No,
it's not up till you man up and go head to head. Then it could be over. But until then, it's not really over.
Is it though?
It's not really. See, you have an arrogance about you when it comes to this that I hope you're right, because I don't want to see you fail. I don't want to see you. Beat the other one.
You're missing my entire point to all of this. My entire point isn't that I want one company to beat the other. My entire point is that I want the company I like that's doing better to make the other company be better. By the way, I saw yesterday that one Stephanie McMahon has been moved to in charge of the creative room now. She apparently is now in charge of the creative team over there. Good or bad?
Is that good or bad? I know she's married to someone who might be able to help with that. Maybe. If he's allowed to.
Bingo. All right. That's enough wrestling talk for now.
Is it?
For now.
You get some more about 220.
For now. We'll come back to it. We'll come back. I'm going to tell you off the air the joke I just saw. All right, when we come back in just a minute, we are going to talk NFL quarterbacks because yesterday was a huge news in the NFL quarterback circle. Trevor named the starter. Teddy BH2O named the starter. Ryan Tannehill into COVID protocol now. He has been diagnosed positive. Cam Newton now back with the New England Patriots. What does that mean for them? All that and more coming up, talking quarterbacks next on The Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. Somebody just sent me a mock art, but of like all the Spider-Mans from the next Spider-Man movie. And somebody said, at this point, who's not in Spider-Man 3? And another guy replied, Uncle Ben.
It's kind of messed up, but probably true. We don't know. In one of the multiverses, Ben might have survived.
I mean, technically, if the multiverses are infinite, there's a multiverse in which Uncle Ben is Spider-Man.
Could be.
But there's also a universe where I'm Spider-Man, so.
I want to be in that universe. I want to see how you handle having to disappear and the excuses you come up with. Why? Oh, I got to go. I'll be back in a minute. And suddenly Spider-Man appears. Taco Bell has a new crispy chicken sandwich taco because, you know, everybody else is doing it. But it's in a, I guess it's a gordito shell. What is the thicker?
Sent this to me specifically to show to you.
So it has a gordito shell, and it has cheese around it, then it has fried chicken, and it looks like jalapenos. Could Taco Bell win the chicken war?
How much time do we have left in this break?
2 minutes.
The most important thing to know is that ZipRecruiter works. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Will you be part of the 82% who remember where you can try ZipRecruiter for free? It's ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
The wheels did be a turning.
ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Yes, radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
With protection for your motorcycle, boat, and RV, your Progressive policy works the way it's supposed to. Unlike this indecisive sports talk host.
All right, welcome to the Big Shark Show. Hey, Big Shark, any predictions for the game tonight? Well, if you ask me, they are definitely going to win big, but I also think there's a chance they don't win. It's just my gut that they will, or they won't. But I do have a hunch that whatever happens, we will definitely know what it does.
Wait, so
Either way, they always seem to come up with a big play, or sometimes just a small one.
switch to Progressive today.
Bottom line, they're going to win or lose.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates.
We're planning a trip to Spain later this year.
But our Spanish
It's pretty bad. So we're using Babbel.
Babbel's conversation-based method teaches you real-life words and phrases. And with Babbel's interactive, bite-sized lessons, you'll remember what you learned.
There's no easier way to learn another language.
Ahora hablamos español.
He just said now we speak Spanish.
Babbel, language for life. Now try Babbel.
Look, it's Nick.
Just go to babbel.com.
Now he's gone because I said, look. Wait, Michigan State plays Northwestern this weekend? Notre Dame, Florida State? Is that?
That's next.
Oh,
Labor Day
okay.
weekend.
That's on a Sunday.
Those are the
isn't it?
big games upcoming weekend and next weekend.
Okay. All right, because they made it look like it was all this weekend. Like, I didn't think there were that many games.
The best care. The joint pain is affecting your quality of life by taking a free health assessment. Let F4U pain hold you back. More at prismahealth.org/ortho.
The Paladins kick off the 2021 season Saturday, September 4th at 12:30 versus North Carolina at A&T. Every play, every game on ESPN Upstate 97.7 FM, 97.1 FM Spartanburg.
By the way, that's a universe that I never want to see, and neither do you really. You don't want to see that universe.
Oh, we have a lot of stream chats. No,
Although the hair obviously would be better.
I have to train wreck the segment for just a minute, Lonzo, because I need to ask you about, since this is a sincere thing that just happened to me, and I'm gonna get in trouble for doing this. Not with anybody here, with my family, Lonzo. Not with anybody in this building. Relax. Take a deep breath.
I'm not worried about anybody in this building. I'm worried about someone who used to be in this building, and so I didn't want to be part of.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
None of that.
All right. So people, I'm
Yes.
good. I'm good.
Yeah. You're fine. So, I have just been informed. You know, I've talked about my nephew on the show, right?
Yeah.
And my nephew's first name is Lewis. All right. I'm not gonna give his whole name, but his first name's Lewis. My nephew is coming up on 4 years old now. All right. The point is, he's been alive 4 years. I also have a pair of cousins who I like, but like, you know how you have those cousins though that you see them about once every like 5 or 6 years? Like you like them, they're family, you're close to them, but like realistically, you see them on Facebook occasionally, and then at the family reunion every 5 or 6 years.
My mom has 12 brothers and sisters.
Okay.
They're
cousins. And you see them occasionally.
some of them are like friends on Facebook, and I knew them when they were like 4, and it's like, okay.
Yeah, those types of cousins. Like, and you're, again, if you see them, you can just roll into conversation with them, right? Like, hey, how you been? How's that place that you live that I don't remember?
Yeah, and I also have some cousins that were like brothers.
Sure.
So I know that there's a distance. I get
look,
it.
there's, hey, that's my cousin.
Yeah.
And that's my cousin.
Yeah, we're
All right.
related. Yeah.
So I have just been informed that there's a set of cousins that I like. See them every 5 years or so, but they're kind of like on the that's my cousin side. Not the that's my cousin side. The that's my cousin side. They gave birth to their first baby boy 2 days ago at 2:00 in the afternoon. And I'm like, hey, cool, congratulations. That's good for you. And then I go look up the information. Lonzo, they have named their child the exact same first and middle name of my nephew, who was born 4 years ago. So now I have a nephew and his cousin who share the exact same name, start to finish. Is that weird?
I caught myself.
You did. That was almost one.
Yeah, it almost, but it wasn't.
That's weird, right?
It's a little bit weird, unless.
Or is it not that big of a deal?
Are they being? First of all,
no, there's no. This isn't like they had petty disagreement.
No. I was going to. So was there a that they're being named after?
So yes, all right. So
because I want to say that there, I'm not the only Lonzo. There are several. I'm going.
Family names, right? Like my nephew's first name is Lewis. He goes by Lou. Lewis is a family name. And the middle name, which I won't say out of, because it's my nephew, don't be creepy, you weirdos. The middle name is also a family name. It's the last name of a couple of generations back.
I was going to say, it's kind of a unique middle name.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
So, I'll admit, Lewis is not all that unique of a name, but the middle name is a very unique name. It's a name that's a family name, etc. So I've got my nephew, who is Lewis, middle name Brown, and now I've got another cousin whose name is Lewis, same middle name. It's the same name.
They live in the same state?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, the majority rest of their family all from Louisiana, but this couple of cousins live in Florida.
Within driving distance?
Yes.
Okay. Will they be having contact with each other?
Not often. Like I said, it's like that side of the family, like my dad's side of the family, we do the family reunion every year. This side of the family does it like once every 4 or 5 years. So let me put it this way. The next time that we see them, my Lewis blank will be, well, I guess my brother, you know what I'm saying, but the Lewis blank, my nephew, will be X amount of years old. And then the next, they'll both be old enough to understand to ask the question, why do we have the exact same name? Is that weird?
Well, maybe they won't, because kids, unless they're in class together, don't go around saying, hey, what's your middle name? Unless they both get in trouble at the same place and their particular parent yells at them and says their full name.
Oh, I've just been informed that this couple does not live in Florida. So they're still in Louisiana.
It's good then.
It's good then?
It's good then.
2 states of distance makes it okay?
It's only weird at family reunions. And again, I don't know my cousins' middle names. I don't. Do you? Plus, I have like 100 cousins, so I don't know. But I don't go. What's your middle name? What's your middle name?
Texter says, ESPN, wait, your cousins married each other? How close to Alabama are you from? Okay, no. A cousin, and then she married a guy, and now he's cousin by marriage. That's everybody's cousins. Texter says, ESPN, what did all of us on the stream do to you yesterday? You don't turn on the sound for a segment today. You start the stream, and you have ignored us all week. Oh, stop. Texter says, ESPN, how old do they need to be before they battle for naming rights?
That's a good question.
Two
Yeah.
Lewis blanks enter, one Lewis blank leaves. It's like the Highlander of names.
Yeah, over the ring is the shield with the crest on it. Yeah, and the one who wins walks away with the shield. It works.
Texter says, can Lewis 1 sue Lewis 2 for name infringement?
I can't get, will the real Lewis please stand up? Please stand up.
God,
Stuck out of my head.
I really hope today isn't the day that my Louisiana family was like, oh, let's check out Rob's stream and see how this is going. I just realized this was a terrible idea.
Yeah, and then when you find out there was a family reunion, a month from now and you weren't invited, you'll know why.
I will. Well, it's been nice knowing him. Let's take a break. We're back after this with actual sports. NFL quarterback talk next. Probably. On the Rob Brown Show at ESPN Upstate.
Happy D? Not sure? Well, we'd like to let you in on a little secret. ED means common. About 40% of men experience D by age 40. But the solution is simple. Find it at forhims.com.
I didn't have to talk to a doctor in person. There's no copay, and the medication was shipped.
Why am I still wearing my headphones? All right, people on the stream, I am paying full attention to you now. Yes, I can't do. I wanted to keep the Discord going, but the Discord was pre-StreamYard days, and I just can't. There's just I can barely keep up with what's going on as it is. I can't add yet another social media obligation to the show. Now, I didn't Discord channel back up and it to be used when we're not on the air, right? Like if there was interest in doing the Discord so that the Discord would be active when the show is off the air, right? So it could be a place for you to go hang out and be sarcastic and have your fun when we're not on the air. That's fine, but I can't use it while I'm on the air. I just got too much else going on. But if there was interest in doing the Discord away from the show, right? Like it's just active all the time where you can go in there and talk whenever you're bored, I'd be cool with that.
Summer items like garden hoses, pool toys, and lawn chairs are not recyclable and best donated to to charity. Join Odyssey, and together, each of us doing one thing makes a greener tomorrow. What's your one thing?
Developing story. The Titans placed quarterback Ryan Tannehill on the reserve COVID-19 list. Depending on his status, he'll miss up to 10 days, which would bring him back a week before the season opener. He is the fifth player Tennessee put on the reserve list this week. They'll find Bills receivers Cole Beasley and Isaiah McKenzie for violating COVID protocol. Future violations will result in increased discipline, which could include a max fine of a week's salary. After missing the last 3 days for the COVID protocol, misunderstanding, Patriots quarterback Cam Newton returned to the team facility today in his absence. Rookie Mac Jones took the top rep. Coach Bill Belichick says all the quarterbacks will get work.
You know, I wonder, before Twitter, what did all these people do? Did they just complain to each other? All the trolls? Where did they go? I'm not talking about this show. I was talking about other stuff. Just coming.
All right, let's talk NFL quarterback news. We start yesterday, TL16 named the starter for your Jacksonville Jaguars. He will get the week 1 nod over Gardner Minshew. Still waiting to see if the Urbanators decide to keep 3 quarterbacks or shift down to 1, as Gardner Minshew was listed as the number 2 on the roster. Big question now is going to be whether or not CJ Beathard, who has played really well for the Jags the last 2 weeks, will get the opportunity to jump up to the number 2, stay at number 3, or just flat out get cut. But, I got to tell you, I don't love throwing Trevor Lawrence into the mix in week 1. I really thought he should have stayed as the backup. I really thought that he should have had the opportunity to watch a couple of weeks, to watch Gardner Minshew navigate the NFL. I know that there are a lot of folks out there that are not, they want to throw number 1 draft picks right into the mix. I got no issue with that if the team that had the number 1 draft pick has some sort of offensive line ahead of them. Look, there are going to be some good things for TL16 in week 1. Predominantly, DJ Chark, who is a great down-the-field wide receiver, is going to be back for this team. He is going to open the field up. He is going to force DBs and linebackers to stay vertical instead of attacking. But that's a guy. That's a guy. One guy that is going to be back. The offensive line is still in shambles. It's not good. All right? They lost Travis Etienne, so now they have a running back, 1, singular, that is worth anything at all. This Jags team offensively is going to be atrocious. And I know, I heard another host say sometime in the past week, I don't remember who it was, but they said, if you're an NFL coach, you have to realize that while your job is to win, you are in the entertainment industry. Your job is to entertain. And there comes a point where you have to put the first round draft pick in, not because he's ready, not because it's time, but you have to put him in because the fans demand it, and they will stop showing up if he doesn't get in. Well, I got news for you. I don't care if it's Trevor Lawrence or Gardner Minshew or CJ Beathard or Rob Brown. If the quarterback under center for the Jags is on the worst football team in the NFL, they're not coming. Whether it's TL, Minstash, Beat Hard, or Rob Brown, they're not showing up. All right?
It's my understanding, and I could be wrong, that the few times that Jacksonville have been okay, people still...
Yeah, till he loses 5-6 in a row. You can take this from somebody. I don't know if I've mentioned this to you. I lived in Jacksonville. And let me be very clear when I tell you The Jacksonville sucks. And sports fans in Jacksonville also suck. Jacksonville's a college football town. All right? Make no mistake. There is no college in Jacksonville. Well, there is a Jacksonville State. But there's no D1 college in Jacksonville. Jacksonville is a town that loves the Florida Gators, the Florida State Seminoles, the Georgia Bulldogs, and that's it. If you put Trevor Lawrence in there, if you put TL16 in there, and the Jags go 0-4, 0-5 to start the year, they still won't show up. All right? So, why not let Gardner Minshew go in there, navigate you through another bad season, work a couple of trades to build your offensive line, work a couple of trades to get you another running back till ETN can come back, get a high draft pick to draft the best offensive lineman in the draft next year, or trade back and draft 2 or 3 of them. Why not protect Trevor Lawrence? Because I got to tell you, I think there is some element that says to me, Zoe, if a guy like TL16, especially a guy who has not just little experience with losing, no experience with losing. The guy didn't lose in middle school. The guy didn't lose in high school. The guy didn't lose at Clemson at all, period. Why not?
I'm reluctant to do this, but I'm going to. Because I don't know if kicker news is really. The Carolina Panthers have traded for kicker Ryan Santoso.
The Panthers traded
for him.
For a kicker?
They traded a 2022 conditional 7th round pick, according to Panthers.com.
Really? I gotta tell you.
So was it? No. I mean, they're having some.
By definition, it is news and it is breaking. But if let's put it this way.
It does concern a team that we cover.
That is in the market.
So
we're the flagship. Well, we're not. ROQ's the flagship station for them. All right, yeah. Let me ask you this question.
Other people are starting to tweet it out now. So apparently,
we got it first.
Yeah.
Lonzo got it first. Texter says, when it comes to kickers, that's more denting news than breaking news.
Yeah, if you're trading for a kicker, it's not good. And if another team is willing to part with that kicker, how good is that kicker? I'm just saying, especially when you're just trading a conditional pick, which means is it even a pick? I don't know.
So if we ask most fans, do you think they'd rather talk Trevor Lawrence in the NFL or Carolina Panthers trade a 7th round pick for a kicker?
I was reluctant.
And that's a sincere question.
I was reluctant to do it, but it was breaking, and in order to make it,
I accept it.
Yeah, I mean, but it's still a kicker.
So we have the glass breaking for breaking news. Now we need to get someone punching a sheet of metal for denting news. That's our next project. Denting news.
I don't know if you would recognize that sound. I mean, glass breaking is obviously glass breaking. Dented metal. Would you know it's dented metal? I don't know.
What's the sound of something denting? I don't know. Hail on a car? All right, we're going too deep with it.
Yeah, I just don't. I'm not.
What the sound of a dent would be.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure that I could convey with a sound denting. I just can't do it. Sorry.
Texas said, multi-time. Texter says, basic sports science, no matter what the sport, no matter the level, winning brings fans, doesn't matter who's at what position. Right. But do you understand what I'm saying? They're not going to win with Trevor Lawrence at quarterback or Gardner Minshew. So why not protect Trevor Lawrence, right? Like, why throw the future out there behind a absolute hodgepodge garbage offensive line Why throw the future out there and get his ass kicked?
Well, there are those out there who would say, well, they did that with Troy Aikman. Look how that turned out. They did that with Peyton Manning. Look how that turned out.
Yeah, but that's the exception, not the rule, man.
Well, supposedly Trevor Lawrence is that kind of talent.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know how you know. He was good in college, good in high school, or he's great in college, great in high school. That doesn't always translate, and I hope he does as well as people think he will. But we're not going to know, and I'm on your side with this. I'm not so sure they're going to put him out there. He's already been named the starter. Will he survive?
Texter says, ESPN, I feel like Meyer is really going to wreck this ship, man, and probably get TL16 hurt,
Told you.
unfortunately.
This texter, and I've heard this said on a couple of national shows. We talked about this before. Urban Meyer is the scapegoat. He is the guy who's going to get the blame if Trevor Lawrence is not good.
Oh, shocking.
And
here's breaking news. Head coach takes blame for what happens
Yeah,
with his team.
yeah.
That's his job.
Well,
literally the job.
Trevor Lawrence, no matter what he does, if he goes out and he plays poorly, it's the coach's fault. Even if he makes bad decisions, well, the coach didn't have him prepared. This is people who will back a player no matter. I'm just saying, people either, but put
The Jags suck. I just
hey, Tampa. That a coach, the right players in this place could make them win, but it ain't happening this year.
That's true of any NFL team.
But not always. I mean,
but the Jags suck.
The bad teams are usually bad every single year. Why is that?
Why are the Jags bad every year?
Why are the dwellers usually the cellar dwellers year after year after year, even though they're getting the number one picks and all that kind of stuff?
Your GM sucks. You got to change the culture top to bottom. And look, I get it. I get it. It may not, whether the Jags fail or succeed, it may not be Urban's fault, or maybe he doesn't get the credit. I don't know. But the point of all of this is to circle back to the beginning of this conversation. I think it's a bad idea to put Trevor Lawrence in as a starter in week 1. I think you're going to get him hurt, just like that texter said. Texter says, wait, the Saints quarterback could fart, and Rob will be like, OMG, breaking news. But a news kicker for the Panthers isn't breaking, question mark?
No, if a New Orleans player passed gas and there was a flag thrown, then Rob would just go nuts.
Correct. And the NFL would absolutely do that.
I would say that's taunting.
The Saints might win.
That is taunting. By the way, flatulence is taunting.
All right, so courtesy of that texter, when we come back here in just a minute, I will give you a full 6-minute breakdown on the kicker that the Carolina Panthers just added to their roster 2 weeks before the regular season with a trade. Full breakdown, where he went to college, where he went to high school, who his mama and daddy is, what his kicking style is, all that, all of it coming up next, man. Full kicker breakdown because Rob's a hater. Texter says, why ruin T-Law when we can ride the Minshew mustache wave? Trying to tell you. Hashtag free Gardner. Hashtag give Gardner a chance. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate. Okay, I wasn't ignoring you, Lonzo and I were actually talking about off-stream things that time, so. So the Panthers' kicking situation obviously has been, let's just say, volatile, right? Like Joey Sly has not been exceptionally good so far in this preseason, so they've been making news. And as Lonzo dented the news just a few seconds ago, the Charlotte Panthers, I know it's Carolina, calm down.
Okay, all right.
Calm down.
I just wanted to save you from the texters.
Yes, I know they're coming. I know. I was reading the byline of Charlotte on the news article. The Panthers have decided to add another name to the mix on Thursday. They have traded a conditional 7th-round pick to the New York Giants for kicker Ryan Santoso. The 7th-round pick they owned originally belonged to the Dolphins and will be the higher of the Titans or Patriots 7th-rounders next year as long as Santoso plays in at least 2 games for the Panthers. So if he does not make it, if he is beat out, or if he does not play in 2 games, then they will retain the 7th-round pick that initially belonged to the Giants. The Panthers traded their own 7th-rounder and linebacker Denzel Perryman to the Raiders Wednesday in exchange for Las Vegas's 6th-rounder next year. The 26-year-old Santoso has stood out in Giants camp so far this summer, but was not going to beat former Florida State Seminole kicker Graham Gano for the starting job. That's a name the Panthers know well. He has spent time with the Lions and Titans before his time with the G-Men, was on the practice squad last year, originally came to the league as an undrafted rookie from Minnesota, where he also punted. The Panthers brought in Dominic Eber last week to compete with incumbent Joey Sly, who is going through what coaches have described as a slump. So 3 kickers on the roster now, including Santoso, for your Carolina Panthers. Santoso is a guy that was a practice squad kicker last year and is so good at his job on NFL.com that they have just added his profile picture up literally a few minutes ago when the trade went through. 26 years old, 6'5", 260-pound kicker who was on a practice squad last year.
That's a big dude for a kicker.
260 is a big boy. That's like
6'5", too.
Janikowski range. That's like Sebastian Janikowski range. That's powder keg range, man. Let's take a break. Next hour, we'll get some more quarterback talk in here. Plus, we've got to get a crazy story that I have never heard of before. A pitcher being struck by lightning on the mound and then finishing the game. Tell you about that coming up on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
No Rashad?
Oh, crap. I thought it was Thursday. This is why you're in charge, Lonzo.
All right, hold on. You have a golf cart in the first break.
Stellar.
For not being that big of a deal, my Twitter feed has a ton of people talking about the kickers. They're mostly Panther people, but still.
Hour number 2 of the Rob Brown Show is underway. Rob Brown, Lonzo, and now at 1 o'clock every Thursday, we head right on up the road to Charlotte, North Carolina, home of your Carolina Panthers, and talk to our resident expert, the host of the Panther Nation podcast, a friend on and off the air, my man, Rashad Beard, joins us here on the Rob Brown Show. Shab, what up, fella? How we doing?
Rob, Zoe, what's going on, guys? We closer to football, real football, that is.
Listen, Rashad, I would love to exchange pleasantries and greetings and blah, blah, blah. But my listeners are furious with me right now, Rashad, furious with me because I had the audacity to not interrupt Trevor Lawrence Jacksonville talk to go on a 1 segment long deep dive, bit of analysis regarding Ryan Santoso, the kicker the Panthers just traded for. So there it is. Breaking news. So Rashad, instead of talking defense and offense, you and I, we're about to sit here for 11 more minutes and talk kicking game. Are you excited?
Yeah, as excited as I can be. Can't you tell?
Excited as I can be. What a hell of an answer. No, but in sincerity, let's break it down for a second. Joey Sly was a guy that had been in that spot, but my dude has been struggling in this preseason. No doubt about it. One coach went so far as to call it a slump, to the point that you expanded a 7th rounder for a dude who was a practice squad kicker last year and could not beat out Graham Gano, a guy who got let go for the Panthers because he wasn't good enough anymore. What does this say about the kicking game for the Panthers right now?
Man, it's bad. And you know what? This goes all the way back. You want to go back a while. Remember that time when we had Harrison Butker, the kicker that is now a Super Bowl champion with the Chiefs? Yeah, that guy. He was once on our roster. We drafted him in the 7th round, and we chose Graham Gano over Harrison Butker. He was one of the last cuts we made. Did not make it back to we. In fact, we carried him. We carried him on the roster. We carried 2 kickers, and then ended up cutting him at some point. But yeah, I mean, this kicking issue has been a problem. Graham was solid for a little bit. He just got older. But it looks like we kind of lost that battle there. Harrison Butker is a really good kicker. But now we're in a situation where we got Joey Sly. And Joey Sly, listen, he's been a guy that is he struggled. And it goes back into last season, right? Some of those 8 losses that folks want to put on Teddy. Not so fast. You might want to take a look at your kicker, okay? And he hasn't been that good. And while his numbers may look good, he's got a decent percentage. When it comes to making the kicks that matter, when it's time to put a game winner through the uprights, he can't do it. And he's continued to struggle through these games, not practice. We're talking about the preseason games. He has not played well this year. And I just think it's weird because you didn't carry any additional kickers during training camp. He was the only guy. That never happens. You always have competition. So I question now you're panicking. You're hitting the panic button. You brought in another kicker the day before yesterday, and now we're trading for another kicker because they both sucked yesterday in practice. So it's just weird. it's not good. And we're hitting the panic button essentially.
Yeah, that's the way it feels, right? And I got to tell you, and maybe tell me if I'm making too big of a deal with this. Not a great look, right? Like, not a great look for Matt Rule, not a great look for the coaching staff, not a great look for the GM's office to be in a spot where you are 2 weeks away from week number 1. And this is a panic move, right? Like, this is a panic move to pull the trigger. And I know there's a lot of people who are texting me already. It's just a 7th round pick. It's not a big deal. Hey, man, seventh rounders produce Marcus Colstons, right? Like, that's what 7th rounders get you. 6th rounders get you Tom Brady. 7th rounders get you Marcus Colstons. It feels like a panic move. And as much as I really have not questioned Matt Rule all that much, I do kind of have to ask a couple of questions about this, Rashad.
Yeah, I mean, you should be asking questions because you waited until now and to kind of, we've been saying this since the preseason started. Dude, you got to or since training camp started, you got to bring another kicker, bring in somebody else for competition. You go to training camp practices, and this dude's over there kicking by his lonesome over there, feeling real comfy, right? He's real comfortable. Therefore, he can miss, and you have nothing but oozing confidence for the guy in the press conferences. Oh, he's our guy. He's our guy. And so it made him comfortable. He felt comfortable, and now all of a sudden you want to bring in these challengers, and now all of a sudden you want to be truthful about the situation and say, yeah, he needs somebody else. He needs some competition. And when, like Steve Smith said, either competition is going to make a diamond, or it can also flood your basement. And so it looks like his basement is getting flooded right now because we have 3 kickers, a total of 3 kickers right now, 2 opposite of him to kind of push him along. But yeah, it's a panic move for sure. And also going to your point about the 7th round pick, yeah, it is just a 7th round pick, but those picks can also be packaged up and traded, right? You can use those as trade bait to move up throughout the draft. So not just a 7th round pick. All that draft capital matters. In fact, I posted on Twitter last night all of our draft capital, and now we have to remove the 7th round pick that we acquired from Miami.
Yeah, I was talking a couple of seconds ago before we came on the air with another Panthers fan who said that they said that, hey, look, this pick was the pick that they received in the Greg Little trade to Miami. So he said, hey, you're not really like giving anything up all that much. And I'm going, yeah, you are. Like, anytime that you stock up another pick, it's capital, right? And I know with a 7th rounder, a lot of people want to write it off. But like I said a second ago, 7th rounders are where you find those jewels in the rough that can kind of help shape your team, right? The Marcus Colstons that go win you a Super Bowl by becoming a quiet wide receiver. Those are the types of situations that you're looking for. And to have to give that up because you just didn't carry enough kickers to be ready when emergency hits, that's a waste of a 7th round pick. Even if it's only a 7th rounder, it's still a waste, Rashad.
Yeah, not only that, you can't look at it in isolation too, right? Because we started the day yesterday with 2 7th round picks. We gave one away also to get rid of Denzel Perryman. We traded Denzel Perryman yesterday. We had another 7th round pick and gave that one away to the Raiders to get rid of Denzel Perryman. So again, 2 7th round picks, you pair those up, that could potentially get you a 5th rounder or something like that. I'm just making that up. But the overall point is that you can package those picks up and move throughout the draft. And that draft capital does matter. So again, look at what we did. And I know it's a round up, but look what we did in the 6th round last year. I mean, look who we got last year in the 6th round. Shi Smith, Deontay Brown. Those, I'm sure a lot of people would have said, hey, those are just 6th round picks. They don't matter much. But all draft capital matters, man, for sure.
We are talking to Rashad Beard. He is the host of the Panther Nation podcast here on The Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate. Follow them on Twitter at Panther Nation PC and on YouTube by searching Panther Nation Podcast. They go live on Mondays, but they put up content all the time. Week 2 preseason as we head in towards the final week, Rashad. I want to get into some of the specifics from last week, but overall, some of your more important highlights and takeaways from the week 2 preseason game.
Yeah, so the preseason game against the Ravens, I thought we didn't look great. Again, they're trending in the wrong direction when it comes to red zone. I mean, we got right down to the 1 yard line and couldn't get it done. And listen, I don't care if it's preseason. I don't care if it's Pee Wee football, if it's high school football, Pop Warner, any other level of football. If you can't get 1 yard regardless of game planning, then that's a problem. We had 2 shots at the 1-yard line. We've seen this a million times with Christian McCaffrey, without Christian McCaffrey. Us getting stopped in the red zone is a problem. Again, I think we went 1 of 2 in the red zone. Didn't really even see the red zone much more after that, and that's a problem too. And so again, the red zone problems continue. We were 0-2 in the red zone. Third down efficiency still not good. 2 of 11. I mean, the penalties that did kind of come down a little bit. We only had 5 penalties for 30 yards, so I guess DBO is trending in the right direction there. Outside of that, man, the defense on a positive side, defense looks good. You're winning the turnover ratio, and typically when you win the turnover ratio, you typically win games. Unfortunately, we lost time of possession by almost double. We could not sustain drives, and we couldn't get off the field against the Ravens, and they just came out and beat us. And again, I think they were riding high. Now they have the 19th victory in their streak, in their preseason streak. So I think they take it seriously. And we got beat. I mean, it was unimpressive on both sides of the ball. And I think Will Greer looks solid. Obviously, I've been trying to tell you guys about PJ Walker. I told you guys last week he was awful. Neither one of these guys are legit backups, in my opinion. So I guess I hope we roll with one of them, but we'll see what happens. But that's my overall thoughts of the game.
I think you're right, man. I was unimpressed, right? Like I don't demand perfection. Hell, I barely demand excellence out of preseason games. What I demand to see in preseason games is improvement, right? I expect to see from week 1 to week 2 improvement, week 2 to 3 improvement, so that I know that we're trending in the right direction heading into week 1. I did not see that. In fact, if anything, I saw regression, right? You mentioned the red zone, big time struggle. Between the 20s, heck, was even a big time struggle. I didn't see improvement. In fact, Rashad, I was trying to think while you were answering that of the 1 or 2 things that I could point and go, well, at least we saw improvement here or on the other side of the ball. I can't come up with anything.
Yeah, no, and you're right. You're absolutely right. I think I call it the game inside of the game, right? Nobody cares about the wins or losses when it comes to preseason, but you have to start winning these games inside of the game. The red zone efficiency, the third down efficiency, the penalties, the time of possession, the turnover ratio. You have to win those. And like you said, there was no improvement anywhere. In fact, it got worse in the run game too. We talked about how bad the run game was in week 1, where we averaged 3 yards a carry. If you take away the large Chuba Hubbard run in week 1, in week 2, I think we were down to 1.9 yards per carry. It was awful. So you have to start winning these games within the game. And I agree, it was not pretty on either side of the ball. It was a really meh game, really bad. So I need to see improvement going into week 3. We're going against the Steelers team, and they're not playing their starters, and we are playing our starters. So it's going to be difficult to take away anything from that game as well. So we'll see, man. But yeah, unimpressed overall.
Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast, joining us here on the Rob Brown Show at ESPN Upstate. Again, you can follow him on Twitter at Panther Nation PC. Search them on YouTube as well. So you do have the Steelers coming up in week 3. That one's going to be this Friday night at 7:30. Week 3. And obviously we're going to see how coaches attack this, Rashad, because ordinarily when we had the 4-week preseason, week 3 was the week that we actually saw the starters play mostly a half, and then week 4 we didn't really see the starters at all. This year is different, only 3 preseason games, so this is the final one, and there is a week off between the final week of the preseason and week 1. Any idea what we are going to see? Will we see more of the starters for the Panthers in week 3? Do you think that they'll scale it back and give a rest? I mean, I if I'm Matt Rule, I need to see more, right? Like I need to throw those guys out there and say, we've still got a lot of work to do before week 1.
Yeah, no, I agree. I would like to see the starters, but it's really, it's kind of like it's all for naught, right? Because you're not seeing real competition. The Steelers are not playing their starters. You won't see Ben Roethlisberger. You won't see a lot of their starters. So it's like, hey, you're going up against their twos. And I think word on the street is that we're going to see a lot of the starters outside of Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey is not going to play, which I do think is the right thing to do. He's already got a ton of tread on the tires, and we don't need to see him we know who he is. All right, we know what he's capable of. So I'm good on seeing Christian McCaffrey. Everybody else, I do think we need to see, but it would have been nice to see them against other starters. But again, I do want to see Sam Darnold out there. It'd be good to see him in game situations. I thought he looked okay in that one series against the Ravens. He looked confident back there. He looked comfortable. Didn't hold on to the ball too long. I thought he got decent projection when he was out there. I want to see how the starting offensive line starts to gel, starts to hold up, and see what they're going to. Again, it's really going to be difficult to take away any huge positives just because we're going against their number twos. But it will be good to see those guys out there. I do still want to see more J.C. Horn. I think he got thrown at one time against the Ravens. I want to see him more. Want to see him go up against those Steelers wide receivers. They always have good wide receivers, regardless of starters. So I want to see him go up against those guys. See if he can get an interception, a couple of PBUs. That would be nice. Continue to see these safeties, the back end, our linebackers. Want to see these guys. So I think there's still a lot to see. Again, it's just going to be difficult to see what we can take away given the situation they're not going against starters.
We are talking to Rashad Beard. He joins us every Thursday at 1:00 to break down where we stand with the Carolina Panthers. Of course, we've got Friday night going up against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Last opportunity to get some significant reps in before week 1 on September 12th. Rashad, my man, always good to talk to you, big dog. We will see you a week from now. And then we got just 2 more talks before we get to week 1, partner.
Yep, sounds good, man.
Love it. Love it. Rashad Beard. Follow him again on Twitter at Panther Nation PC and on YouTube. Search Panther Nation Podcast. They put up some good stuff. Let's take a break. We're back after this. My name is Rob Brown, the great one, Alonzo, the dystopian nightmare at the board. This is ESPN Upstate.
Golf cart.
The 2021 Upstate Golf Card is available now. You're going to pick it up for $99. You're going to get 9 rounds of golf at 9 of the most beautiful and prestigious golf courses around the Upstate. I have cranked 4 so far. I got 5 to go. You got all the way until the end of the year to use it, ladies and gentlemen, and they make spectacular gifts. Imagine this. You got somebody in your family who loves golf, right? They love golf. And you walk up to them and go, hey, listen, I appreciate everything you do for me. So I got you 9 rounds of golf on me. They're going to think you spent like $28,000 on them. Nope, you did $99, less than $15 around, less than $1 a hole. If you're a golf fan, and you think about how impressed would you be if somebody just walked up to you and said, here's 9 rounds of golf on me. You'd think that person was like totes BFFs, right? Now, if you would be excited about that gift, why not just get it for yourself? Give yourself a gift. $99, 9 rounds of golf. It's a gift for you, man. Go to upstategolfcard.com to learn more. Upstategolfcard.com. Get yours now. It's the 2021 Upstate Golf Card.
Said that Bridgewater edged Drew Lock to win the starting position. Niners coach Kyle Shanahan isn't ready to reveal his week 1 starter quarterback. Will it be Jimmy Garoppolo or Trey Lance? Only time will tell. Jaguars head coach Urban Meyer has named Trevor Lawrence the team's starting quarterback. Lawrence will try to become the first quarterback selected first overall to win his very first NFL start since Houston's David Carr did it back in 2002. Among those who have failed to do so, Eli Manning, Cam Newton, Andrew Luck, Kyler Murray, and Baker Mayfield. Download the free Score app. Lightning fast updates so you never miss a thing. It's why the Score app is one of North America's most popular sports apps. That's your Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders on ESPN Upstate.
On ESPN Upstate. Hi, this is Cole Bryson, the voice of the Burns Rebels. This Friday, the Rebels are on the road again as they try to knock off the Region 3. 3A champion Chapman Panthers catch Burns at Chapman this Friday night on ESPN Upstate and on the Odyssey app. The Burns Rebels, powered by your local Ingles Market. 97.7 FM For the men who never settle, the ones who miss the fairway all day and still pull out the big stick. The type of guys who will always prefer to be behind the grill than in front of the camera. And the men who never let their friends forget about a high school nickname. This is the Lodge mentality. This is Twin Peaks.
Who wants to settle for a single TV? With more TVs, bigger screens, plus our fabulous seating views, there's more to watch at Twin Peaks.
Spicy chicken nugs. We didn't say Wendy's, but you probably thought Wendy's. And you were right. With a unique blend of spices, these are
Apparently,
other spicy nugs wish they were.
Drew Brees addressed the Jacksonville Jaguars before practice today. So now they're going to win every game.
Well, Peyton Manning has also been there. So why are the greats showing up in Jacksonville? Does it have to do with Trevor Lawrence, or does it have to do with the coach that you can't stand? I don't know.
Choosing to earn 3% cash back on online shopping, which could increase to 5.25% as a preferred rewards member. Rewards that you put toward the cost of an essential piece of your post-game recovery. A heating pad. Apply for yours at bankofamerica.com/morerewards. Copyright 2021 Bank of America Corporation.
There's the rest, and then there's the best. You're listening to the best sports talk show on the stage, according to the South Carolina.
All right, so I was going to do this story later, but I just saw a bunch more tweets that came up on it a second ago. I am so worried about you.
Let me
So worried about
let
you.
me say, like I did yesterday, we are also entertaining on the stream.
Facebook.com/ESPN Upstate, Twitter.com/ESPN.
It could have been cool.
I didn't know what you were doing until I realized what you were doing.
This is making my box.
Yeah, no,
bigger.
I got it now.
Yeah. Okay.
I got it now. So, series of tweets that came out from Christy Dosh. Now, Christy Dosh is a sports law analyst. She covers sports and business. She used to work for ESPN. She is the author of a book called Saturday Millionaires. She is also an attorney, and she has been one of my go-tos regarding NIL stories since all of that broke a couple of weeks ago. And she put in something out on Twitter last night that I found very, very interesting. Very interesting. So, 5-star basketball recruit by the name of Emily Bates. Emily Bates was being highly recruited by a lot of colleges to come play for them. 6'9" small forward, and was getting offers from pretty much everybody, man. Pretty much everybody wanted this kid to come play, right? Well, he decided to go play for the Memphis Tigers. Now, that's not an enormous shock because Memphis is a pretty respectable program and they've made some runs in the NCAA tournament over the last couple of years. But for a kid who's been called by some analysts the best high school prospect since LeBron James, there are some questions about where he might end up. Apparently, and by the way, Emily James has to go play in college because he's not eligible for the upcoming NBA draft. You got to be at least 19, which means Bates will get in, who, by the way, does not turn 19 until January of 2023, will have to complete 2 seasons at Memphis. He'll have to do that or after his freshman year, join the NBA G League. But why did he go to Memphis? This is really interesting. Part of the reason he decided to go to Memphis and to play college ball for that year, maybe 2, is because of NIL. He has the ability to make money now. And there are some athletes that will make more money in NIL in college, and he is probably one of them, than they would ever make playing G League NBA ball, right? Talked about that in the past. Which G League? I think the most in G League is like $500,000, right? There are some guys that might make $1 million or more, and a guy like Emily Bates is one of them. Now, Christy Dosh pointed something out in this. In the original article that came out about this, Christy Dosh said, and quoted the initial article that said, quote, sources told On3 Sports that Memphis pitched an NIL deal partnered with FedEx to both Bates and his former teammate, a former AAU teammate who committed to the Tigers a couple of weeks ago. Now, Christy Doshwin then went on to screenshot a couple of relevant NIL laws as set up by the NCAA, including and Tennessee state law, including one that said our institutions permitted to arrange NIL opportunities for student athletes. And obviously we know the answer to that is no. We talked about that when the rules came out. What is prohibited under the new NIL policy includes NIL agreement without quid pro quo, NIL compensation contingent upon enrollment at a particular school. And that's the big one. By the way, Texter points out that Memphis has Penny Hardaway as the coach. That is correct. That is correct. So one of the things that is strictly prohibited is pitching an NIL deal that is contingent upon a student going to a certain school. For instance, FedEx, using this strictly as an illustration, FedEx could not call Emily Bates and say, we will hook you up with $1 million a year if you go to Memphis. They can say, we'll hook you up with $1 million a year. End of discussion. Now, why is this story interesting? Christie says, so to my understanding, FedEx would have to offer him the deal regardless of whether he went to Memphis or another institution. Otherwise, isn't this an inducement to attend a particular school? Lonzo, I'd say yes, right?
Absolutely.
Certainly sounds like it.
Sure does.
Okay. So, why is this so interesting? FedEx. If I gave you 15 guesses, Lonzo, how many would you need to guess where FedEx is based out of? Want to take a stab at it?
Memphis?
Ding! Ding, ding. Tell him what he's won, Johnny. Memphis based out, or FedEx based out of Memphis. And have long been a massive supporter of and sponsor of Memphis Athletics. So, while it is quite possible that Memphis would have been involved with Bates anywhere he went, Lonzo, it seems a little coincidental that suddenly the guy signed with Memphis when he's got attention and had interest in a lot of places. Suddenly he signs with Memphis and there was this huge FedEx deal involved. Shocking. Shocking.
Or shady if you're on my side of the glass.
So, Christy Dosh said she put in a request, and I'm coming back. I'm not ignoring that for the record. I'm coming back to that. Christy Dosh put out a tweet that said, I have a request into Memphis for clarification. Is it just me? Is this passing the smell test for everyone else? And of course, Twitter went, yeah, no. Christy said, do I think lots of NIL deals will impact recruiting? Absolutely. Team-wide deals like at Miami and for walk-ons at BYU, I think will have an impact. Even if they're one-year deals, recruits see opportunities there. However, they don't break any rules or laws based on what we know. Now, here is where it got a little interesting, and this came across, Lonzo, at about 10:51 a.m. Christy tweeted, update. I'll read this texter after I finish this part. Christy tweeted out, update. The original reporter has edited his story and removed all references to FedEx. I do have a screenshot of the original story, and I will update as I hear from Memphis. Now, Lonzo, you know what this sounds like to me? And the texter has my point ready when he says, Zoe, I am disappointed. Where is the conspiracy music? Because here's what this sounds like to me. What this sounds like to me, and I would even go so far, Lonzo, is, and I'll let you decide here, you are the multi-award winning producer. I don't even know if this is a conspiracy so much as this is what happened, and Memphis is in CYO mode right now.
Yeah, so that's the reason why I didn't have the music ready.
I accept that.
Because, yeah, this is pretty obvious what's happening, and this is one of my concerns. It has been since NIL started taking place. I'm worried about stuff like this and how they're supposedly going to regulate it, because they can't. They can't. I mean, the wording has to be like this. For money.
And if it can be shown that that is the case, what do we do here? Right? What do we do here? How is this? And Lonzo brought up a good point. One that I have said multiple times. I am intrigued to find out. I think it is a problem that the solution is going to have to be found. It is not known up front. What I think happened.
So you wait till everybody finds their ways around the system, and you see all these different ways that they were able to bring players in, and then you fix it after.
I think the only way to address problems is as they occur, and I think that's true of pretty much everything in life.
Or you look ahead and try to figure out, okay, if they do this, I'm going to do this. That kind of, it's just proper planning.
Well, sure. Look, and I think that some of those contingency plans are already in place, right? I will be honest with you. I've read through some of the NIL laws. I've listened to a lot of attorneys and lawyers, and there are
contingency plan. Contact the guy who wrote the story and have them delete, things out of there.
I absolutely here. All right, you know what? Hit the conspiracy music. Here is the one aspect of the conspiracy. Here's the one aspect of what happened here that I do believe is a conspiracy. Thank you, recorded Lonzo. Here's what I think happened. The guy who wrote the initial article reporting this wrote in there that FedEx and Emily Bates have an NIL deal in place, and people started picking it apart. Wait a minute. You mean FedEx that's already a huge sponsor of Memphis Athletics? FedEx that's based out of Memphis? FedEx that loves when Memphis succeeds? Ended up talking a guy that some basketball analysts are calling the best high school prospect since LeBron James to come to Memphis. And we're supposed to believe that this wasn't there. I got a sneaky suspicion. Call it a. I'm getting good. I'm starting to figure it out. That Memphis would have said to the reporter, "You got two options here, guy. Option number one, you can pull the FedEx references out of your story. Or option number two, you are persona non grata along Memphis Tiger basketball. So you have two options. Pull the FedEx references, or you are done with access to Tigers basketball." And this scares me a little bit, so. It scares me a little bit. Now, I can tell you as somebody who has been a beat writer before, okay? As somebody who's been a beat writer before, we actually had this discussion about 5 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago, when I went up to Clemson for the Clemson Media Olympics. And I came back the next day, and somebody said to me, "Hey, Rob, why didn't you ask Dabo about his comments about retiring if athletes got paid?" And I said, well, couple of reasons. Number one, and probably the most important, is that while we have some responsibility to ask the tough questions, and we did. I asked James Skalski to his face about the ejection from the Ohio State game last year, right?
Yeah, we did.
We asked tough questions.
We heard the promo earlier.
Yeah. We asked tough questions. You also have to understand that there is asking tough questions, and then Lonzo, there is asking tough questions that cross a line into disrespect, right? And Dabo Swinney, if we're being honest, had been asked that question 50 times leading up to that. We, 2 days before that, played the audio response to the last reporter who asked Dabo, hey, Dabo, 2 years ago, you said you'd retire if players got paid. How do you respond to that now? 2 days ago, or 2 days before that, we played that audio.
I have a question for you along those lines. The fact that you've only been here a year, the other host on this station who's talked about that multiple times, why didn't he ask that question?
So let me put this down as a response to this story. Mark scares me. And I know we kind of took a little left-hand turn here, but it's for a good reason. Don't shoot the messenger. It's for a good reason. Here's the reality. We'll ask tough questions. We have asked tough questions. We asked tough questions of DJ Uiagalelei. We asked James Skalski. Here's why I didn't directly ask Dabo Swinney to his face. Hey, man, you said you'd retire if players got paid. You said you'd go to the NFL, and you didn't. Why not? The reason is because Dabo had been asked that 50 times that week. We had literally played the audio of his response to that question like 2 days before Clemson Media Days. All right? So the reason is that question at that point, considering he'd have been asked it 50 times, the reason, let's be honest, listener, that you wanted me to ask that question is because you wanted me to disrespect Dabo Swinney to his face. You wanted that to happen. And I, as a media personality whose job doesn't require, but has certainly really helped by having access to Clemson, access to Dabo Swinney, access to the players, as we did when we went up to Charlotte, etc. Had I disrespected Dabo Swinney to his face, I would have lost that. And how much tougher would it have been come football season if I didn't get sound from Clemson, interviews from Clemson, highlights from Clemson for me to bring you Clemson football coverage? How hard would that have been? Same reason when we get our first interview with Shane Beamer, I'm not going to go, Shane, you've never been a head coach before. Why do you think you're qualified? For two reasons. Number one, he's been asked that question 100 times. If you want the answer, go look it up. He's already answered it. And number two, because I don't want to lose the working relationship we have with the Gamecocks. Okay? That's why. Because they've already answered him, and there's no reason. If you lose access, it makes your job very, very difficult. And it's one thing to be a radio station like ESPN Upstate, right? It's one thing to be a radio station like ESPN Upstate. It's another thing to be a beat writer who only covers that school. If you are a Memphis Tiger basketball beat writer and you only cover Memphis Tiger basketball and you lose access to Memphis Tiger basketball, do you know what happens to you?
You lose your job.
You lose your job. Now, maybe you have a kick-ass editor who goes, wait a minute, you just broke. And I think it would be. If this beat reporter could prove that Emily Bates was offered a deal from FedEx contingent upon him coming to Memphis, Lonzo, that would be the biggest NIL story since NIL stories broke. Right? That would prove that everything Lonzo has been saying were his number one concerns were justified. Everything Lonzo said he was concerned about, all justified. If this beat reporter could prove that. But the newspaper he writes for has a decision to make. Do we go with a story that is speculative? We got a pretty good feeling that's what happened, right? I think we all agree that's probably what happened. Probably what happened, but it is speculation. Do we run with a story that is speculation at best, that would become the biggest NIL story since NIL stories started, and sacrifice all of our access to Memphis Tiger basketball? Or do we push that down until we have proof and maintain our access? And the answer is you do the second thing. You don't have to like it. You might feel like it's not having any cojones, but that's what you do if you're a small newspaper, like this one was. You don't attack. You keep your access until you can prove something, realizing that you'd be blowing up the program when you do. That's a story that gets covered by a national outlet, not a local one in town. Take a break. Back after this on The Rob Brown Show. It's ESPN Upstate.
An Odyssey station.
There's nothing worse than coming home from a hot day to find out that your AC unit isn't working. When this happens, you need an HVAC company you can trust. A company like Priority Heating and Air. Their HVAC specialist will give your system a checkup. And if you need a new unit, Priority Heating and Air is a proud distributor of the Coleman line of HVAC systems. So keep your family or business cool this summer and give Priority Heating and Air a call today at 591-1847 or find them online at PriorityHeatingAndAirHVAC.com.
Hi, this is Cole Bryson, the voice of the Burns Rebels. Catch Burns and Chapman this Friday night on ESPN Upstate and on the Odyssey app. The Burns Rebels, powered by your local Ingles market. 97.7 FM in Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg.
This view was worth a hike.
Right? And it's a good way to stay on top of my health.
Yes, on Cologuard, a prescription colon cancer screening option for people 45 plus at average risk. Have you screened for colon cancer?
Not yet.
Don't wait. It's more treatable when caught in early stages.
Tell me more.
Cologuard is non-invasive and it's used at home. It detects altered DNA in your stool to find 92% of colon cancers.
92%.
Yep, even those in early stages.
This was seen in a clinical study with patients 50 and older. Any positive result should be followed by a diagnostic colonoscopy. False positive and negative results may occur. Cologuard is not a replacement for colonoscopy in high-risk patients. Do not use if you have had adenomas, have inflammatory bowel disease and certain hereditary syndromes, or a personal or family history of colon cancer.
Most insured patients pay $0. Ask your provider or an online prescriber if Cologuard is right for you, or visit Cologuard.com.
I'm in.
According to research, 82% of people remember radio ads. So 82% of you listening will remember that this is an ad for ZipRecruiter.
Oh no, Mac Jones threw interception, second rep of 11 on 11 drills. Almost had one pass picked. Kim's starter again. Let's talk about it for 9 hours.
That's what's coming.
Cam Newton's the starter until he's not. Day one starter, no doubt.
Capital One Shopping. Capital One Shopping instantly searches for available coupon codes and automatically applies them at checkout. Capital One Shopping. What's in your wallet? Savings and available coupons vary.
The annual year-long event for saving big on home and auto insurance. These savings are available up until and straight through Labor Day, Halloween, Clover Cleveland's birthday, Taco Tuesday, the anniversary of the movement, White Chocolate Day. The sale literally never ends. You can come on Jupiter's Ascension, National Pisces Day, but not Leap Day. Just kidding. We're doing Leap Day because every day is perfect for saving money with a home and auto bundle only at Progressive. But for real, we're not doing White Chocolate Day because White Chocolate is gross.
Take that back. White chocolate is awesome.
Goodyear, the power of moving forward.
You don't like white chocolate?
It's not awesome. It's fine.
It's also not nasty. So, I mean, you
I didn't
know.
say it was nasty.
Well, he did.
It's just not significantly
commercial.
better than dark chocolate.
Never said it was better. It's not better than milk chocolate either.
Because if we're focused on the next move, we don't have to worry about what's behind it. Ford driven.
CNBC, this is what you need to know. Titans quarterback Ryan Tannehill on the reserve COVID-19 list. Fifth player the team's put on the reserve list this week. He'll miss up to 10 days, depending on his status. Bills receivers Isaiah McKenzie and Cole Beasley both fined by the NFL for violating COVID policy. Future violations will result in increased discipline, which could include a 4-game suspension. A return to the Patriots facility in practice today for quarterback Cam Newton. He was absent the last 5 days due to a COVID protocol misunderstanding. While Newton wasn't there, working Mac Jones took the top reps. Coach Bill Belichick said all quarterbacks will get work with Newton back. Hurricanes agreed on an 8-year, $62 million
What?
deal with forward Andre Iguodala.
Why?
Cristiano Ronaldo closed the final deal. Juventus was down about $35 million to allow Ronaldo to leave.
The Rob Brown Show back on the radio. It's ESPN Upstate. Rob, Lonzo, and you. 844-477-3776. 844-GSP. ESPN is the number to be a part of the program. Text us on the Ingles Market text line at 71307, 71307. Texter says, Rob, we all know the toughest question asked to a Clemson player during your interview, he got completely wrong. A hot dog comes with chili on it. No. All-American linebacker James Skalski got that question correct. A chili dog comes with chili on it. A hot dog comes with a dog and a bun. He got it right.
I am more shocked at the fact that some people just want to be right even though they're not. A chili dog comes with chili on it. A hot dog is a hot dog.
It's not that tough, right?
It's not. It's not really that difficult.
Texter says, ESPN, I swear I can't drive while listening to the conspiracy bit. It's so funny. I'm crying, end quote. Oh, don't cry. It's a happy show. We're here to make your life better. I get what you're saying. I appreciate it. That was all Zoe, ladies and gentlemen. That was all Lonzo on that one.
Adjust your tinfoil hat. Just move it a little more center and you won't cry anymore because aluminum can do that to you.
Science. Yeah, so this Memphis story, I think it really comes down to, I know we kind of got off on a bit of a tangent there. I think it really comes down to, is anybody going to be able to prove that Ebony Bates went to Memphis because FedEx made a deal that if he showed up and played for the Tigers, they'd pay him, and if he went somewhere else, they wouldn't. Now,
here's what I believe. I believe that someone's going to mess up. Well, that was nearly a mess 100%. Up, right? Someone is going to mess up, and then we'll have to see what happens. 100%. What are the repercussions, and will it change how things are done?
100%. Here's one more tweet from Christy Dosh. I'm going to try to get Christy on the show tomorrow, actually, to talk about this. Christy said this. The report is that a deal was put together by Memphis and FedEx to match what Bates could have made going pro. I'd be curious to know how that was put together to comply with rules and laws. Deals can't be an inducement to attend a particular school, and a school can't put it together. So if this is true, there were multiple violations here. The violation that the school organized the deal, they can't do that. And the violation that the deal was an inducement for the player to come to Memphis. The deal can't be that. There's two options. FedEx goes to Ebony Bates and says, wherever you play, we'll give you $2 million a year to rep FedEx gear. Or they just don't say anything. They hope he picks, and they decide quietly and without informing him, if he goes to Memphis, we'll offer him the deal. And if he doesn't, then we won't. And then they wait for him to sign. That's how it has to work.
This was a wink deal from the beginning when these rules were put out. Wink, wink. You can't induce, you can't try to get someone to come to your town because of a sponsorship. That's recruiting. You can't do that. They're winking so much while they knew that was going to happen. There is no way that it wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
So why put the rule in there? Who are you?
That's the right way to handle it. I think even people like me were in favor of that rule. I don't want it to become something where, these contracts are utilized to get kids to a particular school. I agree with you on that. I think the rule was put in place to be a rule. Now we have to see two things. Number one, does the NCAA and do these schools, and heck, does the media have the ability to do investigations that can prove this is happening, right? And if there's a case to prove this is happening, here it is, y'all. Here it is right here. And number two, if we have the ability to do the investigation to find out that this is actually happening, and if they do, how in the world do they drop the hammer? Do you drop it on the player and say, all right, you're out? Do you drop it on the school and say, all right, you have violated this very clearly written and expressed law? Or Is there some other alternative? We about to find out, man. We're about to find out. Because if somebody can do what it takes to investigate this to find out that's what happened here, we have example number one. And I think that's the big part. This is the first example where it very clearly on the outside looks like that's what happened. Quick break. Back after this to wrap up hour number 2. I'm Rob. He's Lonzo. This is ESPN Upstate. So I'm getting text from people saying the audio is fine until you increase your volume, like your as a person volume, not the mic volume.
Here's the thing, Steven. When the dystopian nightmare uses his power, you are not meant to understand. Your brain, 2:05 a.m. Suddenly you're going to hear what I said, and don't be alarmed. I've warned you ahead of time. The solution from engineering would be for me to turn my mic up really loud over here and get way back here. And although I am concerned with things online, my levels are perfect over here. So now they're saying I cut out while explaining. That's not my fault. That's the computer or something. I don't know. I'm sorry. Is that cutting out too? Or am I whispering too loud? Maybe back here. I don't know what to do. In the end, it comes down to what I'm saying is not really that important anyway. So, I mean, you know, I would suggest that if you want to know what I said, go to the Odyssey app, download the podcast, and go specifically to that part, and you can hear what I said. Hopefully. Then if it's marked out, then it's you know, there are supernatural forces at play.
Supernatural forces. The Rob Boo Round Show. See, it's a ghost.
Well, I was thinking you were the supernatural force that was causing it.
I am super.
Yeah.
I am natural. As far as you know.
No, what it is, and I'm addressing my wife. It's the crosstalk will cause volume to be louder, even though it's not technically louder. It's a mix of the sounds at one time, and it can cause distortion and overmodulation and things.
What Lonzo was saying is I need to shut up so he can talk.
Or we could just not be animated, and I just if that happens, I'm going to sleep.
Pretty sure that's the whole point of the show.
I can. I'm pretty sure. I'm 99.9% sure that I could run this board while asleep. So hopefully it wouldn't be like my nightmares that happen on occasion where nothing works, no matter what I do. Those are fun nightmares. Chicken nuggets. You ever went to Wendy's and say, "Hey, I want some spicy nugs"? Have you ever said that?
No, I've never said I want spicy nugs.
Yeah. Okay, so why are the commercials? Someone must say it, I guess. That should be your new nickname, by the way.
Spicy nugs. Fairness, I have been called much worse routinely. Texter says, would it have looked less sketchy if they just left the article as it was? I mean, yes and no at the same time somehow?
Well, I'm sure he wrote it thinking no one would say anything.
Oh, 100%.
And what brought it to Christy Dash's attention? Is she out there looking for it, or did someone else see it and send it to her?
I suspect.
I don't think she's in Memphis, is she?
No, she's in, I want to say Christy's in Jacksonville, actually. And if there's anybody who should know about how crime works, it's someone in Jacksonville, Florida.
You know, you hear people describe somewhere that they've lived, and you often think, well, they have a jaded view of that place. Now I want to go there to see if it's as bad as you say it is.
Oh, it is. It is. And you'll get to Jacksonville and go, why does anyone live here? Even my Jacksonville friends that live there, they don't like living there. Anyway, so would it have looked less sketchy if they just left the article as it was? It's kind of like the situation. It'd be like if somebody got caught on camera robbing a bank, right? They got caught on camera robbing a bank, and then 3 days later they were rolling around downtown in a new suit with diamonds in a Rolls Royce. You'd be like, dude, like we were pretty sure you already did it, but now we know you did it, right? Like maybe there was a way out of this if you just wouldn't have said nothing. Maybe there was a way out of it, but now you are doing things that say, hey, look at me, I robbed the bank. That's what this is, man. Quick break, third hour of the show. Best hour of the show comes up next. I'm Rob. He is the dystopian nightmare. Lonzo, this is ESPN Upstate.
All right, so Keegan, I knew I made a mistake when I said it. I think the clear and amazing thing is that Rob didn't go somewhere he could have gone, even though somewhere and he didn't.
Where was I going to go? Wait, what are we even talking about? Oh.
You physically stopped yourself from it was fun to watch.
How we have left? Just like a minute.
Minute 20. Your indecision has cost you time.
I know. No, I don't have time. Damn. I gotta pee. I have to tinkle. And I'm out of time for the tinkle.
You could use your cell phone, call in real quick, and I'll throw you on the air while you go tinkle. I mean,
somebody just texted a chili dog is just chili. No, how is this that hard?
I don't get. I think
they're doing it as a troll now, right?
No, I don't think so. I think those people actually believe that, and I don't understand that. I don't. I blame it on poor educational system. That's what I blame. What they're describing is chili on a
Listen to
bun.
this guy. Hang on, I'm going to say something about him. Knock off Keith Jackson.
Yes, I thought.
Knock off Keith Jackson.
Yeah, I agree. But are you being a knockoff if you listen to someone, you appreciate their style, and you're just trying to?
That's literally the definition of a knockoff.
No, I don't know. Maybe he doesn't know he's doing it.
Come on. Can we talk about that on air?
Yes, we can.
Anybody who just heard that promo that ran before we came back on air from that guy talking college football games? Was it just me or did that guy sound like a knockoff Keith Jackson, Nebraska, Illinois? Like he sounded like a knockoff great value Keith Jackson.
But here's the thing. If you enjoyed Keith Jackson,
everybody enjoyed Keith Jackson.
Well, there's 2 or 3 people out there that didn't like Keith Jackson. But if you enjoy Keith Jackson, why would you not enjoy someone who makes you think of Keith Jackson? I don't believe he's around anymore. I think he's no longer with us.
Keith Jackson, yeah, he passed away.
Yeah.
Golly,
2
years ago.
So if this person makes you think of him, then you think fondly of the memories of all the calls that he made that you enjoyed. What's wrong with that?
I don't know, man. Like, it's like when you watch an animated version of a real life movie and the voice actor is close. He's not the same, but it's just not the same, right? Like when I was watching, and I haven't watched this week's, but when I watched last week's episodes of What If with Black Panther, T'Challa's voice was T'Challa. Thanos' voice was Thanos. Yondu's voice was Yondu. But the Collector's voice, no, I think it was a Collector too. Who was it? It was, anyway, one of the main characters, because Nebula was Nebula. It was all the except for one. There was one actor of the group.
So the Collector was Del Toro.
Yeah.
But if you remember, in the second movie, it wasn't him.
Yes, it was. It was Benicio the whole time.
I don't think it was.
Pretty sure. Either way. But
because it was not really him. It was Thanos projecting to make it look like it was him.
All right. Well,
but he was like dead laying there. So
but you get well, no, because he was in Thanos threw him into the tank, and then as he was like when Gamora killed Thanos, he was
all right.
Wonderful. I should not be able to do that. All right. Ask me who won the Super Bowl 3 years ago, and I'll panic. But ask me exactly what the Collector did and said as Thanos was killed by Gamora, and I know
you've watched it more recently than I have. It's been
anyway. Blah 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 blah. What is? You know when you watch a movie, like an animated version of a movie, and the voice actor is like really close to the main character, but just not there. It can jar you, right? Like I would rather have just a completely different voice. That guy sounded like a knockoff Keith Jackson to the point, Lonzo. And gosh, I hope I don't get in trouble with the powers that be over saying this. Lonzo, I have no idea what he was saying in that commercial because I was too busy listening to him sound not like Keith Jackson. I don't know. I know he talked about the games, and I'm assuming it was you can hear them right here on ESPN Upstate, which you can hear Nebraska, Illinois right here on ESPN Upstate.
Well, here's the thing. The original tag that was put on the end of that put the voice to shame that was before it, to the point where you've automatically, you're like, yeah, I want to listen to that.
Correct.
Guy. So, I mean, there's that. I wouldn't let that deter me from wanting to. I'm not saying you're the only one that bothers, but I think to the point where it took you.
It was distracting.
Yeah, but
he was I'm trying to be Keith Jackson, but I'm not. And maybe it's because I am a big Keith Jackson fan, right? There are a handful of college football announcers that I am a fan of. The handful of radio guys I'm a fan of, Keith Jackson is one. Larry Munson at Georgia is one. Eli Gold from Alabama is one. Gene Deckerhoff at Florida State is one. There are these guys, the ones that have been in the game for years and years and years and years and years and years and years, that as a radio dude who is still young, I respect them. I respect who they are, and I respect the voice and the sound. And so maybe this is just me being defensive of a guy that I have immense respect for in Keith Jackson. Don't try to be Keith Jackson, dude. Don't try. That's him. That's Keith. All right.
30 years from now, after you've won multiple awards, and you're retired, you're living large because radio salaries, that's what you do when you're done. You're living large, and you just happen to turn on the radio and you hear someone trying to sound like Rob Brown. Are you offended or are you flattered?
Let me tell you a quick story. When I started in this game 14, almost 15 years ago.
You know, that's when you say when I started in this game, that's an old man story. You know that, right?
Yeah, but I said when I started in this game, which is a young man's way of saying it.
It's still a story.
I tried to neutral out, man. I'm about to tell you an old guy story, but I'm going to do cool young kid hip lingo in it, all right? So when I got in the game, son, about 15 years ago, when I got in the game, I worked for a cat whose name I won't mention on air. I've mentioned him before. He's the one that went to jail and robbed a bunch of people, all right? But I worked with him as his producer as my first gig. And he had a very distinct laugh, all right? Very distinct laugh that he did on air. And he had certain ways of saying and pronouncing different words to sound more Southern, right? And when I started and I got into the game, whenever I would get my opportunity to host the show, whether he was out and I filled in for him, or somebody else was out and I filled in on them, or they sold a weekend remote and they asked me to do it. When I started the game 15 years ago, and I started talking on air, I emulated this guy. I laughed like he did. I kind of picked up my Southern accent like he did to fit in on a show called Southern Sports Tonight, right? I did all that. And within like 3-4 days.
Southern Sports Tonight?
That was the name of my first radio show.
In Florida?
Yep, in Florida. Southern Sports Tonight. Florida Panhandle, which is technically lower Alabama, so it counts.
All right.
That show wouldn't have worked in Miami or Tampa, but it worked because, like, if you cut Florida, like where the Panhandle bends, if you cut it at that spot, the Panhandle is actually Alabama, and the bottom part of Florida is actually Florida. So is Lower Alabama. I was on a show called Southern Sports Tonight, SST. I've told you this too. Our intro song was Black Betty by Black Betty, Ram Jam. Nailed it. Got it. I'm here for it. Anyway, when I would get on
Welcome to Southern Sports Tonight.
No, really. So when that show started.
Talking NASCAR and fishing?
When that show, it was called, dude, it wasn't college football. It was SEC football 4 hours a day.
Okay.
SEC football only 4 hours a day. But when I get on that show, Lonzo, the music could hit and I'd go, hey, y'all, welcome to SST. My name's Rob Brown. We're going to talk some Southeastern Conference football for you right here. Little Alabama, little Auburn, Louisiana State, Florida, Arkansas, and all the rest right here on Southern Sports Tonight, right? It wasn't like dramatic, but I absolutely used it because that's what he did. And I wanted to emulate a guy who had been successful. But there's a difference between emulating out of respect and just trying to steal the gig, right? And I got to a point where about 6 months in, after I had a lot of people tell me, Rob, you're being so much like this other cat that it's distracting, that I then changed it up again. You know what I did that time? And I get this one a lot too. And I still get this one. I almost started unintentionally, but he was the biggest name in radio that we had on the station. I got to a point where I started coming across like Jim Rome, Clones, Welcome to the Jungle, Grab a Vine. Like I can't do it anymore because I actively had to break myself. But for about 3 months, I sounded like Jim Rome because I was trying to emulate success, which is not always a bad thing, right? But it got to the point where I was less emulating and more imitating, to the point it was distracting. It's not great. So when I hear this dude do a knockoff Keith Jackson voice, I'm like, I don't even know what you said in the commercial because you are clearly not emulating, but imitating Keith Jackson. You are pronouncing words the way Keith Jackson did. You are emphasizing particular syllables.
All right. Is there a possibility that this guy actually worked with Keith Jackson? Because you talked about how you emulate with the people listening probably do for 14 years. And there are certain ways he delivered things, certain things he said, even certain accents that I do now that I did then when I was on the show with him. It's like being, if you're working with someone that long, it's like being married. You start talking kind of the same way. You start doing things. So because I did. And some things you learn, and you don't know you learn them till you're using them later. Maybe this guy grew up on Keith Jackson, maybe even worked under him. We don't know. We don't know how old the guy is. Maybe he worked with him for a while and it's not on purpose. Maybe it's just because he worked with him.
Maybe.
I'm just trying to defend the guy.
I know you are.
I don't even remember.
I respect that. I don't think we got his name. I could be wrong, though.
I'm pretty sure he said his name in the promo. And yes, I listened to the promos when I put them together. It's just, I put it together a couple of days ago. Then I moved on.
So I've heard that before, right? Like once couples are married a long time, they kind of start to but I think that's more the lawns of like common catchphrases, like things you say. And if that guy worked with Keith Jackson, was a booth partner with Keith Jackson, and he kind of took some of the Keith Jackson catchphrase. Like, for instance, I got no issue with good old JR opening every AEW show with, "It's Wednesday night," and you know what that means, right? Because that's in tribute to Brody Lee. It's in tribute. But if he came out and started talking like Brody Lee and wearing a big Brody Lee robe, I'd go, dude, you're just trying to be that guy. I don't think that guy is emulating Keith Jackson. Like he's imitating, he's copying him in order to try to become the new guy. There will never be another Keith. And in fairness, if I went back to imitating the first guy I hosted under, if I came in here, welcome in, y'all. The Rob Brown Show is right here on ESPN Upstate. Southeastern Conference football coming up just around the corner. We're going to be talking a little South Carolina. Luke Doty had a couple of weeks. Can Shane Beamer get through the first few weeks of football without the guy who was supposed to be the number one quarterback? South Carolina's got a big challenge ahead of them, and there's a good chance that Shane Beamer will need somebody to step in and have a little momentum set for him. And if they can get through those first 3-4 weeks without Luke Doty, and he comes back healthy from that sprained foot, y'all, I got to tell you, I think South Carolina's an 8-win football team. I really, truly believe that. I could do that, Lonzo, and there are stations that would hire me because
I was going to say
like that.
That works really well in Pickens County.
There are stations that would pick me up because I sound like that. And that would be imitating that guy I worked for, because that ain't how I talk.
By the way, you would not have been hired here if that's how you talk.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Nothing against the accent. It's about the delivery and lack of energy.
Absolutely. I got hired for this job because I do radio like I'm doing it right now, because I'm animated and loud and over the top. And they told me that when I got the job. Now, there are other stations that if I went back to this voice that I used to use in the very beginning of my radio career, there's jobs I'd get because I sound like this. And I am just straight up imitating the guy I used to work with. All right.
Not to mention, you could probably spin them country records.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, The reason I can imitate that guy and get a job is because that guy is a nobody. All right? Just like I'm a nobody. Except for the best sports talk radio show in South Carolina. I'm a nobody. Okay? Yeah. So I'm a nobody. I can imitate that guy and get jobs because he was a nobody. But if I came in here and I just did my Jim Rome voice, clones, welcome to the jungle. Grab a vine, swing in.
I have to say,
don't suck.
Out of all the impersonations that you do, that's your best one so
Rome?
far. Yeah, you do that really well.
That's the one that when I started, that's one that I slipped into, and I've had to break myself of it. Part of the reason that I am as loud and vociferous as I am today is because when I started my show, I used to do the flat tone of voice, just like this. I'd come in, you're listening to The Rob Brown Show. This is the Ticket Sports Network. We're back right after this.
I'm glad you don't talk like that, because then I would have to bring energy, and I don't want to do that.
But I got beat up on because I sounded like Rome. And I got beat up on for sounding like Rome because Rome was a legend. Rome is a legend. You don't have to like him. I don't even like Jim Rome. That was the part that sucked the most. I don't even like Jim Rome. I think his show's lazy. All right? I think his show's lazy. I don't think he knows that much about sports. I think the only two things Rome has going for him is he came from money, so he was able to buy his way into success, and he's got connections with athletes to get good interviews, and that's it. The callers are entertaining. It's been the same 35 callers his entire career. Let's go to Sid from NoCal. Sid, you're on. Thanks for calling. Have a take. Don't suck. That's it. That's the whole show. 30 years it's been that show, all right? And being a jackass to athletes to get noticed. Shock jock. That's it. So I dropped that because I don't want to be a knockoff. I don't. Keith Jackson is legend. Wait for it. Dairy. Legendary. So if you do Keith Jackson's voice, it's like you're stealing something, especially when that dude's dead. It's like you're stealing a guy. Like you're trying to take his identity. You know what it is? It's the Falcon holding Cap shield. You have stolen the identity. Except in this case, it actually happened. Texter said, ESPN, Rob is loud and yells a lot because he is constantly fighting his inner self, pushing him to sound like Jim Rome. There is, jokes aside, Texter, there is some element of truth to that. That is not entirely false.
I'm curious if that person is some sort of counsel or a psychiatrist or a psychologist and was able to figure you out right there.
There is some element of truth to that. Now, as Alonzo will tell you, because he's seen me in public, I'm loud in public.
You have no idea.
Thank you. I'm loud in public. But I would bet you if somebody wants to do the psychoanalysis emphasis on the first half of that word, that part of the reason I am loud and obnoxious and am the loudest guy in the room more often than I'm not is because for years I wasn't. And when I started, and I had to do this voice, y'all, Southern Sports Tonight, and then I started moving to this one. Coming up next, Carolina Panther football, traded for a kicker, 7th round pick. Bad decision, Carolina. That's going to come back and bite you. We'll talk about that coming up next on The Rob Brown Show and ESPN. And I got told how much that sucked. I went, well, let me go to the opposite end of this. Now I'm loud and obnoxious. So blame Florida, South Carolina. Blame Florida. Let's see. Oh, man, the link is broken. The whole saga of how Rob got his job back twice while screwing Rob Brown in the... Oh, yeah, somebody found one of my old Facebook posts. I'll share that with you later, Lonzo. ESPN, with that first voice, I think you were a pastor at my dad's church before college sports. Texas says, I can't keep track of who's the face and who's the heel of the show. NIL, Lonzo is the heel. Promo guys, Lonzo's the face. Tim Tebow, Rob's the heel. College sports, Rob's the face.
It's like WWE's in here writing, right?
No, it's the exact opposite. It's the exact opposite.
You're wrong.
It's like if Lonzo... The point is, Texter, we have great writing on this team. All right. We got a great creative here. Texter says Russ was the best. Quote, know what you believe and why you believe it. End quote. Love that. Love that. Is that it? Was that a Russism?
Not only is it one, and no, I don't have any of these. except for one. There's a bumper sticker that was made for him when he died by a listener that's hanging on the wall in there.
Really?
Yes.
Know what you believe and why you believe it, Lonzo. I love.
Yes.
I love, which is one thing, and this is something I get in trouble for. A lot of people I challenge, not what you believe, I challenge why you believe it. Why do you believe what you believe? Answer that question. And your answer won't always be good enough for a lot of people. And that's when you get called a haughty intellectual, ladies and gentlemen. Texas says, Rob, where can I find these old clips of you, bro? They do not exist anymore. Do you know why? Because I like to be employed. That's why.
And they were on like reel to reel. So they don't.
That's also actually true.
You said it was a small station.
That's also 100% true. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show. It's ESPN Upstate. But you are going on stream for this. You're going to have to slide it off the end of the table. That was actually not bad. I don't think you have the room for the bank like you think you do. Oh! Rimmed off the far side. That exact throw, but a hair less oomph.
I don't think because I can't see the trash can.
My suggestion.
So I'm guessing.
Off the foam finger.
Yeah, but that's gonna kill it a little bit.
Too much bounce off the edge.
Yeah, I tried to hit the thing. I'm not that good.
You gotta. That's off the door handle.
What? Did it go
went
in? Did it?
It
Cool.
hit. Look, it hit the table, bounced up, hit the door handle.
Okay.
And went in.
All right. I'll take it.
You just dude perfected that on accident.
Yeah, because I didn't see it go in. I should have listened. I didn't hear it hit the ground.
Dude, see, you know what this? All right. You know what I need to do? I need to keep for things like that. I need to open my phone or we need like a spare webcam that we can move around the studio, like on a tripod.
Oh, we could ask them, and I have. I do.
Because something like that would be cool. Like something like that where I could have carried that over and we could have gone live, and just keep it on, but like off the stream until we want to do something, and then just add it to the stream.
Well, the problem is, where do you hook it to? See, a phone probably would have been better for that, because we know we can do that. We've tried that. As long as you kill the mic on the phone.
Yeah. But see, the only issue with the phone is like I can't. My battery will die if I try to leave my phone connected to the stream for 3 hours. And you can't use your phone while you're connected, so neither one of us could do it off of our individual phones.
Well, we both have cameras on our computers in there, but I don't want to remove that camera. So, and I have loose cameras at home, but I don't want to use my cameras. It's not laziness, but it's laziness. Now we're about to find out who the real heel is in this room.
Oh yeah, it's Thursday.
See? Heel.
I did remember 2 weeks in a row. I did remember 2 weeks in a row.
Welcome into the This is probably one of the, if not, do you think this is the best fight that either of the Paul brothers has taken so far?
Yes. And I would once again like to point out that these two boxers,
showmen,
correct, have yet to take on a boxer. End of like, why are you guys continuing to do this to me?
All right. Here's what they're doing, and I think it's a good strategy. Okay, when you start,
Well, wake me up when that happens, would you?
and I am not defending either one of these guys, but at the same time, I understand the strategy. I get it. It's America. They're making money. I'm down.
Phrase about fools and their money.
Yeah, well, if you had the opportunity, you wouldn't do this. If you wanted one of the Paul brothers and you come up with, or either one, you came up with this idea and it was working, would you stop just because you know that boxing purists don't like it? Or would you use that controversy to propel you further, not only in your career, but in your money making?
Well, there's two options here. The Paul brothers are boxers, in which case they're not boxing, or they're not boxers, in which case they're carnies, which is fine. I'm a professional wrestling fan. But the difference is wrestling acknowledges that it's entertainment, scripted, and fake, whereas the Pauls go out there and talk junk. By the way, I don't know if you saw this. Speaking of that story, did you see that Jake Paul is talking smack to Jorge Masvidal?
Yes.
Because Masvidal predicted a Woodley KO, and immediately Paul said, I would love to fight Masvidal. Begging you.
Have you watched Jorge's last couple fights? He hasn't really looked that great.
No, but I just
I know.
Still throw a right.
I know you're doing that, but what if they beat Masvidal? What if he beats him?
Then I guess I'll have to add my second crumb of respect.
Because Masvidal, I hate to say it because I like him. He seems to be a guy that's on the other side of it.
Oh, he's past his prime. He ain't the guy.
He doesn't have that look anymore. All right, so this particular boxing match is part of a card that's going on Sunday night, 8:00. If you want to pay your $60, go ahead.
I don't, but thank you.
The co-main event with Amanda Serrano versus Yamalith Mercado. Now, I don't know either one of them, but I will say that Amanda is 41-1. That's a pretty good record, Rob.
That's pretty solid.
Going up against Yamalith, who's 18-2 with 5 KOs. By the way, Amanda, 30 KOs.
I got to tell you, I'm more excited about that than the Paul match.
All right. Another boxing match on the card. Ivan Baranchik, who's 20-2 with 13 KOs, versus Montana Love, who's 15-1 with 7 KOs. You know you want to see Montana Love fight.
It's a great name.
Just because it's an excellent name. Yes. And also on the card, Daniel Dubois, who's 16-1 with 15 KOs versus Joe Cusimano, who's 19-3 with 7 KOs. So these are all, they appear to be.
It's a good card.
Yeah. It is. And then
can I just say, you know what the saddest part about that whole thing is? That's a boxing card full of up and comers I'd pay to watch, but I can't.
Except for Amanda Serrano, she seems to have arrived.
Yeah.
If you're 40-1, you're probably.
Let me phrase that.
I don't know what that means.
Full of up and comers and a couple of guys and gals that might be part of the future, and I'm not going to give them money for it, and it's not their fault.
All right.
They have to take that fight. It's not their fault. But I'm not giving that guy money until he starts fighting boxers.
So what would it take? What absolutely would it take? I'm not paying for this. No, I'm not. There's only one Tyson Fury, and that's it. And that's the only boxer that I've paid money for ever. So I'm except for Mayweather versus McGregor, but that was more for McGregor, not for Mayweather. So straight up boxing, Tyson Fury is the only one that I've bought the pay-per-view.
Anthony Joshua?
Just Tyson Fury right now. He's the only one that will make me interested in boxing. So there's probably not much. Well, if he fights Tyson Fury, Tyson Fury, yeah, I'm buying that. I'm buying that. Who would they have to fight for you to buy the pay-per-view?
I would take an inside the top 100 WBO ranked guy.
What about one of the?
Be a start.
It would be.
Here's what I'm saying. I don't know.
It wouldn't be a game.
Specifically to see, I know when you tell me they're going to fight a WBO ranked boxer somewhere in their weight class, that I would be more inclined to give them money. Oh, you're going to box a boxer, I'll watch. Here's the problem I have. If these guys were going around and fighting old MMA fighters, which they're all old MMA fighters or retired NBA players, right? If they would actually just call it what it is and go, hey, man, we're just like making money here because we're famous, like cool. But when the grift starts to damage something that I like, that's a problem for me. That's a problem, and it sucks. By the way, you mentioned Tyson Fury. Anthony Joshua. Tyson Fury, 30-0-1 in his career. Anthony Joshua 24-1-1, Deontay Wilder 42-1-1, and Dylan White, who is the current WBC interim heavyweight title holder, 28-2-0. The records at the top of the heavyweight division are good, and I wish we were talking about that instead.
Well, we're going to have to wait a while for that. All right, I want to get to a couple wrestling things before we run out of time, including we'll get to that last. I want to talk about the fact that a belt was retired 2 days ago. And I don't know if you watched it, but a belt that was brought back is no longer with us in NXT.
So I'm watching NXT, and I was like halfway through I'm assuming we're talking DiBiase here.
We are.
Okay. I was like halfway through that segment when I looked at my clock, and I was like, oh, it's 11:59 and 30 seconds. I probably need to get
right.
this video.
So now
they retired the $1 Million Championship.
So it's too late. I didn't tell you the circumstances. I won't spoil the circumstances, but yes.
No, you might as well go ahead. Or you
right,
brought it up to the radio
you and I were discussing whether DiBiase would go away or not after the angle was over, and it looks like he is.
Okay.
So Cameron Grimes gives him the belt back and says, I don't think it would be right. And then he calls Cameron over and he's like, no, I can't accept this, man. You earned it. And he fumbles around a little bit, gives him a belt. And then Cameron realizes, he turns it over and it says property of WWE. He gave him a toy belt and he finished.
Okay.
It was.
I'm for it. It was it opened as a goofy, fun angle. It got relatively serious. It got very serious, and they ended it back on a laugh, which is very Ted DiBiase of them. I accept that.
All right, one more NXT thing, or WWE thing.
Is Cam Newton? Lord, is Cameron Grimes going to go back to his old top hat country Cameron Grimes, or is he going to stay? I'm stacking money. I'm stacking money.
Oh no, he's wearing $1 million.
So he keeps.
vest.
Is he keeping with that? I guess.
think
like next Wednesday.
He's still got the money. He's still got the money. Right. Yeah, they haven't taken the money away.
Only because I don't want the theme song to go.
Yeah, me either. It's if you like country rap, it's not bad.
It's a banger.
Yeah,
it's an absolute banger.
All right, here's another WWE question. Do you feel sorry for Karrion Kross?
Yes. Like literally, he went from a guy that I was like at NXT. I'm like, all right, like he's all right. To he goes to Raw and they send him out there looking like a BDSM knockoff Shredder, right? The only person I feel worse about that is freaking Ricochet. Dude's one of the best in the world at entertaining, and you're squashing him with a guy that it looks like he went and pulled the Executioner's gear from 1996 out and gave it to him. I got to think that as Karrion Kross walked to the ring, he was like, I want to go back to NXT, right? Like, just send me back to NXT.
Or he may.
At this point, if you're anybody on NXT, don't you kind of want to say, like, I think Adam Cole's contract dispute right now isn't WWE or AEW. It's NXT or the main roster. If I don't have Adam Cole, baby, I just want to stay on NXT forever. The only one who figured this out in time was Tommaso Ciampa. The only one.
All right. Who is the best in the world today? Who is the best wrestler in the world? Can you call yourself the best wrestler if you're not the best wrestler?
Dude, it's a gimmick. It's a gimmick.
I'm asking you, who is the best wrestler? If you had to name the best wrestler right now, who would it be?
Probably Kenny Omega.
That's who I would name.
Probably Kenny Omega.
Best wrestler, Kenny Omega. Number 2 for me might surprise you, and that would be Chris Jericho. Even though he's slowed down a little bit, especially the last couple of weeks, the things that he's able to do that you would not think he could do, he entertains you on the mic, he entertains you everywhere.
And so I guess the question I would have to ask is, and every time somebody brings this up, and it's the same when they, what's your Mount Rushmore? What are your qualifying categories? Is it simply in the ring? Is it on the mic? Is it a mix? Like what? It's everything. It's Omega. I don't hate Jericho being in the top 5, probably. I would say Darby Allin is probably number 2 for me right now. Because when I say on the mic, if you can create a character that it doesn't need to be on the mic often, but still be incredibly compelling like Darby Allin is, that's a plus for you.
Well, like The Undertaker was for a long time. Yeah.
And so the opposite's going to be true too, right? The opposite side of that is, even if CM Punk comes out and is a very average wrestler in his return against Darby Allin, he is still one of the best 2 or 3 guys on the mic in the world for me right now. He's one of the most compelling storytellers on the mic in the world. So even if he comes back and he's not The CM Punk who hasn't wrestled in 7 years, right? And he's not that good. Give the man a mic and he's still a must-see television event, even if the matches are just okay, which is why I lost my mind last Friday when he came out. And last night when he came out.
All right, so and not that big of a pop last night. And the other, like we said, hometown pop's going to be bigger. And he didn't sit down on the ramp waiting for people to pop.
Well, they were on a different kind of show last night.
Yeah, well,
the
show itself last night, not very good. All right.
Part of the reason what were there on Friday? 3 matches last Friday. The reason why is because they knew Punk might take an hour and they were fine with it.
I still got to believe there was more there, that they did dark matches or something. You don't bring that many people there just for that.
No, they have. And they did one last night before they went on the air last night. You know who came out and got an AEW belt, walked to the ring and all that? Giannis.
Yeah, Giannis. Yeah.
They brought Giannis out. So, by the way, you wrestling's for kids, I just want you to know that the reigning, defending, undisputed NBA champion and the man amongst men in the NBA right now, Giannis Antetokounmpo, came out last night to a wrestling match to get a belt and accept his accolades in the ring. That's where he went to celebrate.
All right.
Kind of a weirdo.
Thank you.
Kind of a weirdo. That's a little too much. I mean, I'll admit I popped on my couch. I popped on my couch, but that dude's kind of a weirdo. Quick break. Back after this. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. It's ESPN Upstate. Well, it looks like
my wife has chimed in and says, "Yes, I love Ricochet."
I love Ricochet too, and it sucks that he is just I don't know, man. Just a jobber. Because that dude is wildly entertaining.
Back when they had Ride Along, which I'm sure they'll do it again, him and Aleister Black on the Ride Along, I loved that.
Yeah.
That was great.
That would be Malachi Black, sir.
When they got pulled over by the cops.
Oh, I got to show you the shirt I bought last night. It's gonna be here in like 2 weeks. Oh, come up.
You got time. There's still almost 3 minutes.
That's the shirt I bought last night.
Like that.
There was that one. It was between that one and this one. Now you're gonna be like this. It was between that one and this one.
For everyone complaining about my projection, thank you. Lonzo spoke and he broke my computer. You have a Prisma in the next break.
Okay, this is going to be like a 30-second segment.
Yeah, well, my bad.
It's not your fault at all.
I don't really care, but
oh no, I'm legitimately. It's not your.
What I meant to say is I don't really feel bad about it, except for that part of me who likes to keep us on the clock.
Yeah.
And realize it's my fault that we're not on the clock.
No, it's absolutely not. Again, also, that Hardy Cassidy match last night was enjoyable. Did you watch it? Have you seen?
Yeah, I watched the entire thing.
Was in
on the 70-inch, by the way.
Loving it. Yeah. How close is your chair to the 70-inch?
It's not that close.
Okay.
I am looking forward to next Thursday night, though, because I want to make sure that
it works for football.
No. I want to make sure that when there's jumping up and down and things that might shake the house, that the TV doesn't fall down. And I'm not talking about me jumping up and down. Other members of my while watching an Ohio State game. that member may or may not still be watching the feed right now.
The only group of people worse than people who like the guy that cried when Punk came out are the super fans who are like front row at every single event and make themselves part of the show. Like Frank the Clown. Why are you a thing, Frank the Clown? The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It's ESPN Upstate. Rob Lonzo, you and I very much noticed, Zoe, that you did not address item number 3 in today's lunch breakdown during Fight Club. Would you like to do that now? Would you like to address when CM Punk told the people chanting, yes, 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 that's somebody else's shtick and you just need to be a little...
Did you look that up to see the shoes?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. So Daniel Bryan's coming. You know what? We knew that, though. Is it really I mean, he handled that well. He was pretty quick on that, and I appreciate that. But we already knew it. It's not like it's a surprise. The shoe thing's real. That would be not really a surprise, but at the same time, it would be a bigger surprise than Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson, whatever he's going to call himself when he gets there.
I bet you all 3 of those guys end up there. I don't know that Cole does now.
How much is too much?
I don't see. We keep going back to this
because it's 1 hour
for now. But also last Friday, 1.15 million people tuned in. There have been some Raws in the past few weeks that have been below that number.
My wife and I were watching last night, and I said, this is just WCW. Start counting all the WCW people that are in there.
What do you mean?
It's basically WCW. Back when WCW was here and WWE is here, the competition is almost there. Not quite, but almost. And then we have to choose which one do we want. I know there's DVR, but you choose which one that you watch live, which one that you're more into than the other. That's what most people do. They make that choice. And if you have a choice, wow, there's a WWE event going on in my town and there's an AEW event going on in my town, which one do I can only afford to go to one. Which one do I go to?
AEW. Right now.
For me, it depends on the card. It absolutely depends on the card.
Fair.
If it's AEW on their off nights, which they're not on every single night, some of their dynamites and some that is not that great. And you can look at the card. If they have a card like that, more like that, I'm going WWE because the matches would be better.
Well,
but I am not picking one brand over the other.
Show against WWE's number 2 pay-per-view.
I said the wrong name for their Wednesday night show. I apologize.
Dynamite.
I said Dynamite. I did say Dynamite.
No, I'm saying like, okay, you just stacked their weekly cable program against WWE's number 2 pay-per-view.
Yeah,
I would take last night's Dynamite over probably 4 of the last 6 Monday Night Raws, maybe 5.
No.
Absolutely.
No. Again,
You gave me. No. There we go again. All right, I'm out.
Who's the face of?
The gimmick is getting stale. Time to reinvent himself.
Dystopian nightmare never goes away.
Very short Twitter trending topics when we come back, if I feel like it. On the Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate.
Prisma.
Prisma Health right here in the Upstate, the official healthcare provider of both the Gamecocks of South Carolina and the Tigers of Clemson. And they can be the healthcare provider for you and your families as well. And they make it easy to do just that. Ladies and gentlemen, you go to the website, prismahealth.org. Not only can you go ahead and get signed up there, but you can look through their over 2,400 doctors to find the right one for you, the one that you trust to look after you and your family. You can see the locations scattered all around the Upstate and the Midlands, so you can pick one that is convenient to you, so you can make sure that not only are you getting the best health care, but it's not taking away from work, from family, from responsibilities. And if that is still tough, don't worry about it. You can sign up for the virtual visits as well, where you can meet your doctor face-to-face over a webcam from wherever you happen to be, to make sure that you are getting top-of-the-line primo healthcare from the best healthcare provider in our area, and you can do it on your schedule, so nothing else has to give way for it. Go to prismahealth.org to learn more. Prismahealth.org. It's our friends at Prisma Health right here in the Upstate.
There's demonic screaming coming from the office next to ours.
Oh, because Diesel's in, of course. That's not demonic screaming. That's Diesel's music.
That is so wrong. That is so wrong.
Yes, stream. I am going to share this with you, and I'm going to regret it, and that's okay.
Don't do it. No, I mean, don't do it. Oh. Is he shouting?
That is the funniest thing I've seen this week. Oh, man.
Yes, I am afraid right now.
Oh, man. Gold.
There's some guy at work who's supposed to be working who just had that idea and put that thing together.
Are you finally ready to sell that motorcycle or ATV that is just collecting dust in your garage? Harley, Honda, Polaris, Yamaha, or anything like it. RumbleOn.com will pay you cash today. And idiots, you have a real cash offer. We will pay you cash before we pick it up. No more strangers coming to your house from a listing site. Use promo code RADIO for an extra $300 on your cash offer. Get your cash offer today. RumbleOn.com. Fast bikes, faster cash.
Time for Twitter trending topics. What is trending right now? What does Ron?
Do another thing to get attention on the internet that worked, and now all the boomers are mad at him, and he's going to make another $1 million.
All right, Lil Nas X is mad because of what was trending yesterday with Tony Hawk it didn't get all the attention and the controversy that his did.
You know what? He's got a point.
He does.
He's got a point.
He does have a point.
He's not wrong. He did not actually put blood into Nikes that were then sold as whatever theme they were sold as. And he got dragged on Twitter. Tony Hawk actually does put blood into paint that goes on Tony Hawk signature skateboards. And yesterday, everybody was kind of like, hey, Tony Hawk's doing this fun, crazy kind of metal, awesome thing. I got to tell you, folks, Lil Nas X got a point. The black guy got dragged. Tony Hawk didn't. He's not wrong.
So, which one would you rather have, the shoes or the skateboard?
I mean, I'm not really compelled to either one of them. I would answer Tony Hawk, but that's only because I grew up as a huge Tony Hawk guy, and I'm not a Lil Nas X fan.
I think the skateboard may be worth money.
I think both would be. In fact, I'd probably take both just for the shock value, just to shock people in my circle. I'd take both for the exact reason that these things are made, for the shock value. Texter who I have frequent confrontations with. I think you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, I do. Just
texted, Rob, we will always be able to agree on hating on boomers. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it for our show. Mark, Ryan, and Diesel are up next. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for listening. We're back tomorrow for a Friday edition of the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate. Later, brother.